Alpha live stream of round 10 of the 2021 Club 100 Sprint Series of Championships. It's round 10. We are getting very much towards the business end of the season, and we are here at Lydd Kart Circuit in the Romney Marsh area of Kent. And, well, there is the weather right off here. It's quite a popular circuit with the drivers, this one, for its high-speed action, but I fear that's not the element of it we're going to get to enjoy today, because the weather here is pretty treacherous, as it has been throughout this race meeting, with the Endurances and the SP60 running here yesterday as well. So it's going to be difficult conditions, and as we say, business end of the season. There are some championships up for grabs today, and I think it's time for me to introduce, alongside me in the comms box here, as ever, Mr. Andrew Mather. Alongside myself, Howard Mitchell, with Double Dash Motorsport Media.
There we go. Good morning, everybody. What a beautiful morning it is here in Kent.
Oh. Yes.
Yeah, I feel quite sorry for the drivers today, because we're stood in a warm comms box in the lovely new Lydd Clubhouse. It's great to see it in full working action. I think this is the first time we've seen it in full working action. It's been around for a couple of years, but obviously certain things have meant we've not been able to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Are possibly the worst conditions that I have ever seen a Club 100 meeting be held in for at least a good few years. We were out in it yesterday in the Endurance.
Yep.
We thought that was pretty bad, and it was. I did some sailing in the sea at one point. I think it's worse today because there's wind. There's a lot of wind, and the level. So you've got the combination of hard today, and they're going to be freezing bits of themselves off that they don't want to be freezing off.
It's a good point you make, though, mate, about the rain and the wind combined. Yesterday we did have treacherous rain.
Yep. We
did have high winds. We didn't ever get them together.
No.
And right now, as you can see from the way, you can see from the way the Club 100 banners are fluttering there. And the way the puddles are rippling, this is pretty bad. I mean, for those who follow the stream regularly, have heard Andrew and myself, the general Double Dash Motorsport Media talking about bad weather conditions, all the common reference points that we go to. We often talk about sessions we've been to at Clay, race meetings there, which have been quite bad. Alpha live coverage and stuff that Double Dash has done. There's been a bit of a conversation this weekend about a British 24 Hours that happened a few years ago where it got really bad. This is on par with that quite easily.
Yeah.
And it is going to be a difficult one. It does increase the people were handling the conditions. There was not a lot of karts going off in spite of it being so treacherous out there.
Yeah, as I say, I was out in those conditions. I had a chat with John. I asked him a straight question of how close were we to a red flag. He said, to be fair, everyone was staying on the heavyweights and then the lightweights, or vice versa. Today it's a little bit different, ladies and gentlemen. It's back to how it was a couple of years ago. Essentially, schedule and getting everybody in. And the fact that the clocks have changed and all the rest of it means it's going to be back and forth. So we're going to have a bit of heavies, then a bit of lights, a bit of heavies, a bit of lights, back and forth across the course of the day. We're going to start with heavies. So let's talk about them. Big day for Joe Holmes, current championship leader. Depending on which way you cut the cake, he is always the leader. And the message today on the maths is simple. If Joe Holmes takes a clean sweep, wins all of his heats and the final, he will be 2021 heavyweight sprint champion. There will be nothing anybody else can do about that, either here today at Lydd or at Bayford Meadows in a few weeks' time. So that's the simple one. The drivers, Newton is your third row of the grid. Josh Petit and Tim Hill, row 4. Steve Lindley and Mike Bond on row 5. Olindo Venturi and Alex Pritchard, row 6. Lewis Ridd and Luke Elliott on row 7, Martin Robinson and Andrew Hicks row 8, Christian Hoos and Lawrence Che on row number 9. Bradley Porter there is an L19 kart field. We also have here in DDMM control our excellent stat man chucking in Callum Sigafoos on pole as a debut this season.
There we go.
What a way to start.
I was thinking we hadn't seen that. I wonder if we've got a few debutants in this field, because there's a few names out there that I haven't seen in a while, or don't recall seeing at all. So, yeah. Let's have a bit of a chat though as well. These are the practice laps at the moment, and crucial laps for anyone who hasn't already been out this weekend. And they're just going through the final corner there, and this is the only circuit on the calendar these days where there is a runoff section with bark.
Yes.
And there are a few areas on the circuit where you've got it. You've got it on the final corner is the most sort of renowned area where you can get that, but you've also got the bark wood chippings on the exit of the first bus stop chicane as well. So that's going to be a difficult one for, obviously you want to avoid that. We did have drivers going off into that yesterday. But as you can see, these conditions extremely difficult. There they are. The bark. That's what you don't want to end up in. Is all the bark kitty litter there, basically on the exit of those corners or the runoffs of those corners. As you can see, really difficult conditions. But the rain hit. This is now so no wet tyres in Club 100, of course. So we're driving around on slicks. It's about making that front end get some turn in. You want to get the turn in. The risk of understeer here is massive, and then once you've got to control that and prevent yourself from doing the full rotation. But in these conditions, Andrew, as you were experiencing, I had it still fairly wet, but you were out in the worst conditions of it, and it's so bad in these conditions that the bumpers are creating their own spray as well. It's not just the tyres.
Yes, no, definitely. They've got some quite dramatic footage from yesterday, which eventually I'll get round to editing on the DDMM YouTube channel, which, by the way, we're also streaming Comsbox Live. So if you want to see our ugly mugs for whatever reason, you can. There we go. This corner's going to be interesting as well, especially on the starts, I feel, Howard. The Parabolica, as we like to call it, it's not got an official name, so we're taking
sort
control.
Yeah. If we say Parabolica or maybe hairpin, that's the one we were talking about.
Very differing lines that you can do through there. And into here as well, we've got our friend Colin the Cone out there. Trust me, he is somewhere. There he is.
There he is. And people will go out there because that's sort of the last ditch. That cone marks the last ditch saloon for are you going to get turning into that entry into the horseshoe?
And I have a sin to
confess
to the parish. I may have killed a Colin yesterday. So I'm not going to be criticising drivers at all today about hitting the cones because I did it myself. Yes.
We have heard stories of cones being carried quite long distances yesterday in races as well. But yeah, here we are anyway. They're on the back straight now. This is a particularly treacherous part. You think, it's a straight, it's fine. Standing water, particularly off to driver's left, leading to aquaplaning if the rain stays like this. And you're doing that heading towards the final corner, which you've got to have a lot of faith into that final corner where you want that turn in, and it's about, braking late. You may even get the engine dying, but you want to pick it back up again with the throttle and get that turn in before those wood chippings. One for round 10 in the heavyweights and super heavyweights. Callan Sigafus will lead them away in these crazy conditions here at Lydd and into the unknown. Into turn 1 they go. Are they all going to make it through there? But it does look like they've all made it through, at least facing the right way. Still looks like Sigafus to me in the leads. They head into the second bus stop. Very difficult. Very difficult. The one thing in the favour here, I would say for the drivers, is it is a fairly abrasive surface here at Lydd. So it's not as slippery as we sometimes find when we go to circuits. Like Wilton Mill is quite a renowned one for being slippery in these conditions. If you find that there is the grip to find out there, if you can believe it, into the horseshoe now. Over the crest as well into the braking zone for that, which in the dry you don't think about. In the wet, you suddenly realise that there's a little kink in the straight and a crest of a hill where the kart goes light. Cone penalty early doors here for Tim Hill. Not what he wanted. The end of this one. And here they go into the final corner. And that completes a very moist lap, let's say, of Lydd. But at the end of lap 1, it is Callan Sigafus ahead of Adam Wright and Craig Brad. Adam Wright, the highest position driver in the championship in this one. Just as a reminder to you all, yellow number plates are your Class 1 drivers. Blue number plates denote your Class 2s and 3s. And we haven't got any in this race, but if there were super heavies, they would be running green number plates. as they all head through the parabolica at the bottom of the lap. Various different lines can work through there, but it was definitely where you do the tradition. It's probably the most traditional wet-lined corner in these conditions, as that looked to me like Tom Fuller going out wide, trying to find the grip coming into the horseshoe. And is that a change for the lead?
Yes, I think
there?
it is.
Is that Craig Brown?
Yep.
Who's
So
got it's Adam Wright. Adam Wright has, I don't think we picked him on camera,
Craig's
but there it
got
is.
past Sigafoods as well.
Yep.
So that's what we saw.
So Wright and Brown both passed Sigafoods on that lap, and it's now Adam Wright in the lead. And this is what he needs to do early doors with his bid in terms of the championship. But I do want to clarify on that one, actually, mate. Adam Wright is not in the hunt for the overall at this stage,
No, he's
is
not.
he? He is out of that, but a driver with plenty of experience and success, we should say, always towards the sharp end of the championship, and it's no different here. Into the horseshoe, there's a right-hander into the horseshoe, and then the left-hander, and there, is another area where there's the wood. You can see how much standing water there is through the last bit of the left-hand horseshoe, and then turning right onto the back straight. This is back with Alex Pritchard in the 77 being followed, and he's got by Mike Bodner there, so change for 6th place. 77 now ahead of the 44. And there is the 97 of Lewis Ridd as well, trying to work his way up through the order. Another penalty for Tim Hill for forcing a driver pressure, isn't it, from Alex Pritchard, I think, heading towards the second bus stop.
3 minutes 20 to go. Got to say, I think the drivers are doing a brilliant job here in this first heat. All of them pretty much keeping it on the road. But 1.9 seconds the lead for Adam Wright at the moment. What's the pace like?
I was just thinking it's a 1:05, which is about the best lap times we were seeing in the worst conditions we had yesterday in the endurances. As that is a battle between Bodner and Pritchard going through the hairpin at the bottom, and it's going to go the way of Pritchard as they head up towards the horseshoe. Onto the back straight now. And great drive there from Bodner to try and come back at Pritchard into the final corner. Squirreling around. You can see how Bodner taking the tighter line in the early phase there, pushed him out wide on exit, and it's allowed Pritchard back through. It's a good little battle here in the wet as Bodner, does he clip a bit of the curb, goes over there a bit. You can see the steam rising as he's going through all of that standing water. Very impressed by how everyone's getting good turning into this second bus stop chicane as well. And then they head down to the hairpin here.
It is one of the characteristics of this Lydd circuit that even in these conditions, it's an abrasive track surface. If you say compare it to a Wilton Mill, for example, so you can get the grip, but you've got to get the chassis to work. I'm stealing the words of Nicky Richardson, of course, in all of this. I was watching his track guide earlier in the week, but that's why you're seeing some of the drivers. Oh, big slide there for Tim Hill coming through the kink out of the horseshoe onto the back straight.
And that's brought Pritchard within striking distance here, and he's going to go for it into the final corner. It's double apex right-hander, but again, as we found with himself and Bodner last lap, Tim Hill's going to be able to come back in the second phase because he had the wider line in the first phase, side by side into the braking zone for bus stop 1, and that does go the way of Alex Pritchard. So nice move there. And Tim Hill, of course, with a few penalties hanging over him as well, will be trying to lessen the impact of that penalty by retaining whatever positions he can. But yeah, where they just have gone through here on this shot, the exit of the second bus stop chicane, particularly abrasive. I actually found that you got almost a bit of salvation if you'd messed up the rest of the chicane.
Yes.
And believe me, folks, I messed that chicane up a lot, so I'm speaking with experience. There's a fair amount of grip. Also coming out of that parabolica hairpin at the bottom, you can just lead your back in, like, I don't know, like the cushion on a snooker table. Like, you just stay there on the grey stuff, on the island. As we are on the last lap, Adam Wright sets a 1:04.4 to go on to this last lap. He's controlled this one really well, 4.7 seconds to the good. This battle that we're with here has been, I think, the most entertaining one so far, and that's a bad first chicane for Tim Hill. And is he going to allow Bodner through?
He is. So
he
Mike
maybe feel there's some
Bodner.
contact there that he didn't want to get pinged for.
Mike Bodner having a really good start to the day here, up in fifth place now. I don't know if we mentioned a cone penalty for Tom Fuller. Adam Wright getting that lean on, trying to get the chassis working. Will hold a slightly wider line than normal in these conditions.
It's
all about setting up for the back straight. But this, a good start for Adam Wright. It's going to be, if he can get around the last two corners, his 9th win of the season.
Brilliant stuff from Adam Wright. He's come out the box here, come out the gates, exactly what he wanted to do. He's going to come round the final corner, opposite lot to try and get it through. And there we go. Adam Wright takes the win for heat number 1 of round 10. Craig Brown is going to finish second. Look at this side by side across the line, but it does go the way of Callan Sigafus ahead of Alex Pritchard for third. Fifth is Mike Bodner, who we saw get by Tim Hill there. Steve Lindley, Josh Pettit, and Andrew Cherry will round out your top 10. I think Tim Hill has had some kind of incident out there. He's not crossed the line yet.
Yeah, that's not good news for Tim Hill at all. Not a good start to his day, and this heavyweights class being so competitive, he's got a job now to get the A final. Let's take a short break. We'll be back with Heat 2 shortly. Smith and Mikey Nichols are on the third row of the grid. Simon Kavanagh and Kieran Chigsey are on row 4. Paul Williams and Matthew Mandipira are on row 5. Jordan Salter and Lee Henderson starts on the 6th row of the grid. And then it's Miguel Hall and Matt Griffiths on row 7. Tom Stalker and Frankie Bennett, row 8. Matthew Batter and David Wilson are on the 9th row of the grid. It's an 18-kart field. Big race, this.
Yes.
Matt Wildman and Anwar Barul Smith both in it.
Yep. Yep. Very, very important that they get their days off to a good start. I do want to talk a little bit, mate, about what people are having to do out there with the karts as well. With the water, you've got issues that you just wouldn't usually be worrying about. It's not just about the grip. Flooding of carbs, getting water into your carb can mean that the engine coughs and splutters a little bit and doesn't give you its full grunt. You got to nurse that somewhat on your warm-up laps in particular, and even though it looks pretty uniformly terrible in terms of grip, if you have gone offline, particularly if you've collected any of that bark, you've got to be conscious of that in the next few corners. Otherwise, you're going to have a very bad time. So there's a few bits and pieces there that the drivers are going to have to take note of. And you can see here, actually, one of the things there with the start-finish line shot that you should be looking out for is as they're going over start-finish line, pretty much you'll see them putting in the steering input.
Yes.
That's because they've got to think about 3 years ahead for turn 1. That's how early you have to start trying to flick the karting, get those front tyres to do something, provide a little bit of power to sort of go almost like a sort of off-board motor and go, yeah, you see that direction you're thinking about? I want you to turn in that direction and then start to hold the slide.
Tom Stalker, I think, was just being recovered to pit lane there. I don't know if he's had an issue and off there. It's okay. This is just the practice laps at the moment. Just looking out the window to our right here, the water is absolutely cascading off the metalwork, off the steps of.
As well to give a shout out to the officials who are out there.
Yep.
You know, we've mentioned the camera crew, but every single, as far as I'm aware, every single marshal post is manned here today, and they're there making sure that this racing can happen. They don't get any of the racing glory, but they do have our utmost respect for facilitating the racing, particularly on days where, frankly, the wobble is this.
I think one of the other drivers was going for a kart change as well. So there's Matt Wildman, driver number 70, and Anwar Barul Smith. Both of these drivers were out in the bad conditions yesterday, which will serve them well.
You can just see out my window Tim Williams doing his kart change, taking a different kart. Cold kart as well, even though it's wet. Tyre temperature matters.
No, it really does. It really does. We had a moment with that yesterday where I had to do a kart change, and yeah, you really do feel it when you've been out on warm tyres and you switch to cold ones. It does take quite a while to get that temperature and then allow them to get that bite that you need, particularly through corners like the Parabolica. Hello to Loopy Racing, by the way, on the DDMM comms box stream. Welcome to the broadcast indeed. But live coverage here from Lydd of Club 100 Sprint 2021, the penultimate round of the championship. And these two next races are going to be quite key afield for the championship, because we've got Anwar and Matt Wildman in this one. Joe Holmes is next up, because I've seen his helmet bobbing around past our comms box window.
And we should talk about his form here at Lydd is
very good.
Very good. I mean, when we say that, you know, if he gets the clean sweep, he's got the title. That's not, oh well, that's a bit of an outside. No, it's going to be a real concern to the likes of Anwar Burrell-Smith, because Joe Holmes has a history of being particularly good around Lydd, and for anyone who thought that the wet would deter him yesterday in the endurance, the evidence was very much counter to that. He really has got to begin picking up the grid for this second heat.
Jarvis, Wildman, your front row. Ridd, Williams, row 2. Burrell-Smith, Nichols, row 3. Kavanagh, Chigsey, row 4. Williams, Amanda Pira on row 5. Salter, Henderson, row 6. Hall, Griffiths, row 7. Stalker, Bennett, row 8. Batter and Wilson, row 9. And there you're starting to see the bow wave. Get your Land Rover off-road training courses out, ladies and gentlemen, because you're going to need it today. Keep the speed up, push the water away. It was one of the things we found yesterday. It was kind of, you had two choices, particularly when on the back straight. Did you either want clear vision and lots of water to push out the way, or did you tuck under behind someone, have less vision, but not as much standing water to clear?
Yeah, indeed. I'm also seeing some tinted visors out there, and I wonder if anyone's regretting their choice on that one.
That's an F.
I know I went out in practice yesterday and immediately radioed back to you, I'd change your visor. I can't see anything. It's a bit too dingy out here. So, yeah, we will say, we'll mention one thing. If the rain clears, the one thing we can say is that yesterday, with the high winds, the circuit can actually dry out relatively quickly. If you were only here to compete in the SP60s yesterday, you might wonder what we were going on about.
Yes.
Because I was there yesterday, it was fine. The high winds effectively blow dry this circuit quite quickly. That combined with the bunch of karts going around, it does act as quite the thing to dry the circuit, but I really don't think there's any realistic prospect of that happening. Here we go, though. Looks like we are good for the away on heat number 2. David Jarvis leads us away on your left, driver's right. Here we go into the first chicane. Matt Wildman looking to make early progress here. Meanwhile, can everybody else behind him make it safely through the first chicane? Looks to me like everyone's got through okay. Into chicane number 2. Still Jarvis at the head of this one. But Matt Wildman is right there with him. I think Anthony Ridd has had a decent start as well. Into the Parabolica at the bottom of the circuit now. Quite an elongated track, this. Quite a narrow but long one. So they're quite a far way away from race control. Over the crest and then the braking into the horseshoe. And that was Anwar Burrell-Smith going down the inside through the right-hander, and he's managed to hold on to it as he goes through the long left-hand portion of the horseshoe and then out onto the back straight. Make sure that you put in the counter steering for any slipping and sliding onto the back straight. And Anwar Burrell-Smith is there, as meanwhile Matt Wildman is putting serious pressure on our pole sitter in the form of David Jarvis to take second place off of him as they come around to finish lap number 1.
Good starts for Anwar there. Jarvis having another look into turn 1 may offer the opportunity for Matt Wildman on the exit of the first bus stop. See the steam kicking up off the exhaust. Normally that's something that we see when someone's had a spin, but such is the amount of water. And in fact, yeah, made a bit of an error there for Anwar Burrell-Smith. Goes through one of the big puddles, recovers it really well. Jarvis is going to go back down the inside. Can he get any kind of grip on that line? It's all going to be about the exit. But that is how tricky it is. A driver of Anwar Burrell-Smith's talent making an error.
Diamond formation, yeah. And 2x2 indeed. Into the horseshoe. Still Anwar Burrell-Smith. Matt Wildman side by side with David Jarvis over second place, but Jarvis will have good drive on the outside of the horseshoe. How do they come out onto the back straight behind this man? It is Matt Wildman, and Jarvis has lost out heavily there because that looks to me like Mikey Nichols is up into third.
Ooh, Matt Wildman had a look there to try and go for the lead on Anwar Barul-Smith. Remember, and
there's slight pod-to-pod contact, and that's all it takes, unfortunately, in these conditions. And Mikey Nichols is round from third place.
Yeah, and he's understandably not too happy about that. Let's have another look at that. So it's on the... Oh, yeah, that's quite a significant piece of contact for David Jarvis there on Mikey Nichols, and I wonder if that's...
It's awkward, isn't it? Because it's easily done in these conditions, but unfortunately, contact leading to a driver spinning out is still that.
Yep, contact's warning for the leader as well. Matt Wildman in his championship push, for what it's worth, needs to win this race to keep his hopes alive mathematically. Down the inside again looking is David Jarvis through the horseshoe. But I think more on Matt Wildman's mind will be that battle for second place in the championship, because his adversary in that fight directly ahead of him here on the road with 4 minutes of this race still to run.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Further down the road, some 2 seconds back from this this trio, Anthony Ridd, Paul Williams, Miguel Hall as well, the other Class 1 runner in this race, trying to make some progress up through the field. As into the first chicane there goes David Jarvis. Nothing through yet in the way of a penalty following that contact that occurred. This time not quite so much standing water collected by Barul-Smith as he heads out of the second bus stop and here into the Parabolica, taking that wide wet line. I'm pretty sure the camera tells you that it's wet down there. And over the crest of the hill, kart goes light, and then you're turning in here. This is the right-hand turn-in for the horseshoe corner, and then this long left-hander where the line will change, you know, throughout the day. If we start to get anything resembling drying out, the middle of the track around horseshoe is good.
Yeah.
Huge amount of standing water on the inside of that left-hander, but grip on the outside in conditions such as this. So that's just one of the... I mean, it's not as physically demanding in these conditions, but the mental focus that you have to have every single corner. Where's the grip? Have the conditions changed? Is anything different? And then add into the fact that you've got karts around you potentially battling for position. What are they doing? You know, there was a particular line I found yesterday. It was working for me going to the second chicane, but you had to have faith that the driver in front of you wasn't going to be more tentative, because otherwise you were going to just make some contact and one of you was going to end up facing the wrong way. So you had to think. It did look like Matt Wildman had good pace there going up. Was that maybe a bit of a choke with some water in the carb or something like that? Because Anwar didn't look too happy there with the grunt he was getting off of the Parabolica. Onto the back straight they go.
Lee Henderson having a good run, by the way, just keeping an eye on super heavyweights. He's up to 9th place, second of the super heavyweights, but the key thing being he's the first of the regular super heavyweights. As off is the number 65. That's Paul Williams. So Paul Williams is out. He was running in 6th place.
Into the horseshoe he's gone off there. You can see the cone's been collected by somebody at some point.
I say so many people, myself included, had that very incident yesterday. You get a little bit too deep as you come over the crest there, take out the cone, and that's where you end up. That's where you land.
Should say Mikey Nichols is recovering up the field a little bit, up to 6, but he's also making a few moves up there. But we're sticking with this lead battle as they come up. Yeah, Anwar's raising his hand. He's not happy. Oh, that's for the yellow flag. As Paul Williams, I think, recovers himself. Matt Wildman there looking to the inside in the horseshoe there, side by side in this pod-to-pod contact. Who has better drive in these conditions? Anwar, I think, is just going to keep his nose in front, but did Wildman get better drive onto the back straight? Through the spray here are 2 players in the championship for second place. Although, bearing in mind, Anwar would have designs on still going for the overall win in this championship. But this is a key battle here in the battle over the podium positions in the heavyweight championship for 2021. On to the last lap then. They were both pushing the very limits of what's allowed within the track limits, coming out of the final corner into the second bus stop. Can they both get the turn in? They certainly can. David Jarvis not a million miles behind them either, looking to pick up any spoils if they come his way out of this battle. Round the Parabolica, that wide line working well for them. up the hill. This is where we've seen some grief, some anguish from Anwar on the last few laps, and he's going to have to go tight there to try and defend. He'll have the outside, so better drive into this next left-hander of the horseshoe. They're flipped around opposite ways. Now Anwar's on the outside compared to last lap where he's on the inside, and Wildman is going to get his nose ahead here on the back straight, heading towards the final corner. Dashing through the puddles here, and Anwar's going to go for it big time here, but is he going to have the grip on the inside? Wildman's going to have good drive on the outside. They're coming out the final corner, both going beyond track limits. It's going to be Anwar across the line, but that was a controversial one going through the last corner there. He went for it big time there, and side-by-side rubbing and contact there was inevitable. It is Burrell Smith, though, who is first across the line. Wildman in second. David Jarl, something I think has happened to Anthony Ridd on that last lap because he dropped down a significant number of positions. It is Mikey Nichols fifth, then Tim Williams, Lee Henderson, Jordan Salter, Kieran Chigsey, and Anthony Ridd round out your top 10 in that dramatic second heat here at Lydd Kart Circuit. Let's take a look at the replay then. Here we go.
That's one of those where I'm glad I'm in the comms box.
Oh,
and not in race
so
control.
close to the wall as well.
Two drivers both pushing for obvious reasons. Let's take a...
Let's take you through the grid then for the third heat of the heavyweight and super heavyweight round 10 series of heats. Tarek Almu will start this one on pole with George Boothby alongside Joe Holmes and Joel Arguelles are 10. Kevin Coombs and Chris Kirk are row number 6. Next up is Daniel Hollinshead and Benjamin Wotton. Stephen Hullock and Sam Bensley are row 8, and then Jaden Cadigan rounds out the 17 karts in this third heat. This is the last heat for now of the heavyweights. We're going to go across to the lightweights for the next few races. For those of you just joining us and are used to, hang on, I thought you raced those or ran those in isolation. Not to date. We've gone back to the format circa 2 years ago, where you had that mixture of the classes. Several reasons why, really, as things are moving around. We are dealing with less daylight and stuff like that, so they want a nice quick turnaround of things here, and I think if it serves to do a single briefing maybe, and if you thought these conditions were hard enough, you definitely, well, we can't run it in the dark here. There aren't floodlights here at Lydd, and to be honest with you, I wouldn't want. Do let us know who you're supporting, where you're watching from. Whether the weather is worse than here, I'll be surprised. But, you know, maybe we have got somebody, I don't know, up in the Arctic Circle watching or something, where it's a bit a bit worse. Or nice contrasting. If you're watching us from, you know, a sunnier part of the world, we want to know.
Of those. We've got some watchers from Australia.
Ah, okay.
I don't think Australia's ever... Actually, no, I tell a lie. The 1991? Which was the Adelaide Australian Grand Prix that got cancelled after about 12 laps? That one.
I think you might, yeah, that one.
People older than me today.
It doesn't matter. We are. It's you know, I am very conscious of the fact that there are two little. There's sort of like a. Is it like a heron sanctuary, sort of at the entrance of this circuit? We might be doing a bit of a Lydd lockdown here, folks. I don't know, but yeah. There's also a extreme water sports school down the road, which I find ironic on a day like today. We're having our own attempt at it.
Yep.
Here we go, though. Heat number takes him away from pole. Doesn't look to me. Why is Joe Holmes there on the front row? So I'm not sure if George Boothby is in position. Joel Arguelles was in the mix there, but that looked to me like the formation at the front of the grid wasn't quite as billed there. So we'll look to see anything on that front, but it is Tarek Almu who's leading them through the bus stop, and everyone has got through facing the right way, I'm delighted to say. I am so impressed. I know we've had a lot of drivers who've competed yesterday, but I'm still massively impressed by how few incidents we have seen, as there's a big spray, even by the standards of today, in the background there, and it looks like we've already got a breakaway group of 3 here as Almu is under pressure from Joe Holmes here, and is it Chris Alcock? Yes, it is, I think, who's come along for the party. Can't miss him in these conditions, as we've got a driver around here at the Parabolica. That is Paul Jameson in the 16 there. But here's Chris Alcock trying down the inside here of Tarek Almu because Joe Holmes has already got by for the lead of this one. So at the end of lap number 1, it's going to be Joe Holmes in the lead ahead of Chris Alcock and Tarek Almu in third.
Really good to see Chris back. He the last time we saw him at Wilton Mill, he had quite a significant incident in the final, and has nursed those injuries. He's not quite back up to full strength, but the rain will sort of help him in that regard here today, with it being, as you say, Howard, less physical out there on circuit. 5.5 minutes to go. Joe Holmes leads here at Lydd. Is that Richard Allen looking down the inside? Yes, it is. On Tarek Almu for third place. Had a fantastic battle yesterday in the sprint, one of the Sprint 60 races, with the likes of Mike Coppin and Anwar Barul Smith. He was in buoyant mood when we spoke to him afterwards. Very happy with his day's racing. Confidence ahead of today.
It's a good weekend to be buoyant, let's not lie. So, as they come through here, that is Dickie Allen, isn't it? I'm just...
All the helmets.
Yes.
You have to get used to this
again. I did just pause then. But he's been going very well this weekend. Joel Arguelles still going well at the moment in 6th place, albeit he has just had a track limit warning and he has just gone down to 7th place because there's quite a battle going on here that's crossing through your shot now. That's the 29 of Richard Masterson, and he's under pressure here from Ben Wotton, who is our highest placed, not our highest placed, our second highest placed Class 3 runner in this one at the moment.
I think it's the...
Is that Joel? I think that's Arguelles.
Joel Arguelles. It's number 15, super heavyweight. The British indoor karting champion for the super heavyweight class. And this will be a real tester and learning experience for Joel.
I was going to say,
to outdoor karting.
Yes.
If you're having these kind of conditions in an indoor facility, something's gone drastically wrong.
Yeah, I know they've got to keep indoor circuits well ventilated, but it would be quite something to. I did an indoor race once where snow had got in through the ventilation. That was quite good. There was a snowy corner on an indoor kart circuit. It was quite good. Anyway, that's Jason Bear. Did race here yesterday in both formats that were run here yesterday, Endurance and the SP60. He's currently running in 10th place. No, he's not. He's running in 8th place because there's plenty of change on that one as a result of the contretemps we saw down at the second chicane. So Richard Masterson losing out on that one as well as Arguelles. 3 minutes still to go, and that was someone putting a pass on Bear, I think. Was that Coombs coming through? Potentially.
So Joe Holmes, in his quest today to wrap up this heavyweight title, doing his bit at the moment with 3 minutes of the race to go. Remember, if he takes a clean sweep, wins all 3 of his heats and the final later on this afternoon, he will be champion. A bit of a moment there from Richard Masterson, and it's almost like one of those where you're falling over so slowly in slow motion. It's like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. It just about survived without
this is
Coombs there.
Excuse me, there's Coombs versus Wotton that I think we were just with there through the horseshoe.
Yep.
And Wotton's still able to hold on at the moment in that 172. Kevin Coombs is your 63, and good drive off the corner there. Patience can be such a virtue in these conditions. You just got to be patient with finding the grip out there. But yeah, Joe Holmes doing exactly what he needs to do. 1.8 seconds to the good ahead of Chris Alcock.
2 minutes to go. 1.8 seconds the gap, and I've got to say that Joe Holmes, there was points yesterday where he was half a second to a second quicker than anybody else out on circuit in the endurance race. So really good pace from both Chris Alcock and Richard Allen. They're keeping up with the championship leader. And in these conditions, it's just about survival. Get some points on the board. There's a penalty for Jason Bear, a cone penalty.
Yeah, that's going to be one position deducted at the end of this one. Steve Bosley comes out the final corner, pursued by Dan Hollinshead. Good run here for Hollinshead, got to be said. Highest place to the Class 3 runners. I'm going to take this opportunity to say, although you have got the timing tower there on the left of your stream, if you've got a spare monitor, live.alphatiming.co.uk, click on Club 100 and you can see the full live timing, including a circuit map with driver tracker and any of the penalties that are coming in throughout the day.
1 minute to go. So one more lap after this one, you'd imagine. Joe Holmes controlling things from the front. Anwar Burrell-Smith has been declared the winner of heat number 2, by the way. Just for those wondering about the end of that previous race. There's Bosley, the Bosmeister, working his way down the back straight, looking for another solid run. And Dallin Hollenshed, again, it's really impressed me at times this season. This is very good from the C3 driver up in 6th place. We're on to the last lap now.
Absolutely. Joe Holmes is already most of the way down towards the bottom of the circuit. And as we say, this could be crucial. This could be really crucial. This could be Joe Holmes on the way to claiming the heavyweight title, still with 1 round to go. He goes over the crest here, turns in, shifts his body weight around as well onto the outside wheels to try and get them to bite on this saturated Lydd circuit. And onto the back straight he'll come. He's 2.8 seconds to the good. We should highlight, ahead of a driver like Chris Alcock, who is absolutely no slouch. So here we go. It's a dominant win. Is it the first of 3 crucial ones that might take him towards the championship? Joe Holmes takes a controlled victory in heat number 3. And there's been a change on the last lap. Richard Allen passed on Chris Alcock. That's one that we missed on the cameras there. That's a good move there for Richard Allen to close out in 2nd place. Chris Alcock in 3rd. Tarek Almu holds on for 4th. Then it's Bosley and a good drive there from Dan Hollinshead to 6th. Kevin Coombs we expect to come through, followed by Jason Bear, albeit with the penalty hanging over him. Richard Masterson in 9th. And then Sam
win in a heat this season for Joe Holmes, and a very, very good one indeed. First appearance of the lightweights today. Let's have a look at the grid for their first heat. Stephen Westwood has pole position. It's all in all Stephen front row, because it's Stevie Hicks alongside him on that front row. Angus Waddle and Matthew Cockram are on row 2. Ramanas Chakauskas and Steph Theodorou are there on the 3rd row of the grid. Alistair Irving needs a good day in C2. Christopher Powell is alongside him on the 4th row of the grid. Rogerio Mendes and Mike Coppin wrap out the top 10 for this one. Arthur Arthavra Desai and Amy Breacher are on the 6th row of the grid. Dean Everest and Jagjit Singh on row 7. Colin Reynolds and Grashan Kalvinsky are on the 8th row of the grid. 16 karts in the field. Let's talk championship, Howard. This one, similarly, when we were running the points through, by the way, there is a spreadsheet of doom in action here on this Halloween Club 100 event. BUKC viewers will know what that means. Jack O'Neill, similarly to Joe, if he takes a clean sweep today, he's done it. He's won. He's lightweight sprint champion. I think the job's maybe going to be a little bit harder in some respects in the lightweights because there's a big depth of runners here. So Jack O'Neill leads. This is considering drop scores already in play. So the best, Dan Healy on 11.13, Daz Teal on 11.02, and I think I'm right in saying that it's mathematically one of those 4. Mike Coppin 5th on 10.91. Peter Knight winning in C2, unofficially declared by the spreadsheet of doom. Peter Knight has already secured the C2 title in lightweights, so congratulations to Peter. He's there in 6th place overall on 10.88. Steve Hicks on 10.75. Fraser Brunton on 10.68. These are all C, currently led by Alistair Irving, who's in this race on 10.41 at the start of the day. 3 points further back is Reese Pope on 10.39, and then a further 20 points or so back is Dan Seeger on 10.19. Also a key day today is C3. Samuel Esser, he's been fantastic in C3. He's currently 30th overall in the points on 8.47. His next nearest challenger in C3 is Amy Breacher in 42nd on 7.48. Samuel in formation yet, but could well wrap up C3 in lightweights today. We're wishing the best of luck on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Difficult conditions to do it in, but it won't matter come the end of the season, come the potential award ceremony that might be coming as well, which is good to hear. And general news amongst the Club 100 community coming out about some of the plans for 2022. A lot of exciting stuff in the works for next year. The big announcement as well that's been made about the, I suppose the umbrella term, the youth structure that would be that's coming in. Obviously, we've had the Young Drivers Championship going since last year, albeit with that support as well being announced. Sorry, I'm just checking.
Yes, we are going around again.
We are. So yeah, the exciting news of the Cadet Championship coming next year. Another brilliant addition to the Club 100 roster of championships. It's also the, I mean, we've mentioned the endurance, we've mentioned the Chris Powell up 3 positions to 5th as well. I think Steve Hicks did well to hang on for 4th. To be honest, I was a bit worried for him going into that first chicane. Thought he was going to get hung out to, well, you can't really get hung out to dry at this circuit today, but you know what I mean. But managed to hold on there, and indeed is challenging Stephen Westwood as they go through the Parabolica, as someone takes a tight line there and creates a lovely, delightful fountain spray in the back of shot. There is Ramanas taking a tighter line again into this horseshoe turning. Clearly feels that works for him. That is one of the fascinating things about these conditions. You will get more, you'll get more variation in what the drivers are trying out. They'll see if there's something different. Andrew was talking earlier about the need to get out of the spray on the back straight and such, if you may. But coming on to lap number 3, Mike Coppin, new fastest lap of the race, a 104.3. So he's not mucking about. Ramanas Sakauskas in 2nd, and Stephen Westwood still hanging on to 3rd at the moment. Alistair Irving has just got by Matt Cockram for 7th place. And good battles going on in Class 3 as well, with Amy Breach getting past Dean Everest for 11th.
Athara Desai has had a good start in C3 as well, as taking the lead in that category. 4.5 pace for the lightweights, fairly similar to what we saw for the heavyweights. There's Steve Hicks, driver number 21, trying to find a way past Stephen Westwood for 3rd. Steve Hicks looking to try and get in the top 5 in the points rankings. Hasn't got any drop scores though left in his back pocket. Hasn't been an ever-present so far this season due to work. So he needs to make every race count here. And Christopher Powell not too far behind as well, number 56. Can't say that he's in his... He's got a wetsuit on.
I mean, he probably is.
Move.
He probably is underneath. But yeah, that does... You'll have to bear with us as well, folks, in some respects. The drivers could often have completely different coloured suits. They can have... Some of them have wet weather helmets.
Yes.
That they'll switch to.
The older helmet that they're not so precious about becomes the wet helmet.
And just to add into the mix, there's a load of spray for us to look through as well. So do bear. I have to say, I'm quite entertained by the way there's just a huddle of drivers underneath the... so the pit lane goes underneath the balcony of the new clubhouse here at Lydd. And everyone's just shielding from the weather.
It's like ducklings in a storm.
It is. And we've all been there if you've raced at Club 100, where you look at this that's Powell down the inside of Hicks. Thank you, mate. Into the final corner. Is he going to be able to have enough to take the position back? So good move there by Chris Powell up into 4th place. But yeah, there's just this look from all the drivers going, I'm about to go out in this as they watch the other drivers. Hicks trying to come back at Powell. Got to be careful because Alistair Irving there. That's one helmet that we don't struggle with in the comms box. The bright pink helmet is Alistair Irving. And
he's used to these conditions.
He's very used.
BUKC for many a year.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Chris Powell, his first appearance since round 6. And doing very nicely as well. 2 minutes to go. Mike Coppin leads the race. And is so much quicker than everybody else. 103.251 last time around for Coppin. 2.3 seconds is his lead now over Sakauskas. Has there been a change there? Is that Waddle ahead of Irving through the mist? Here, back with the battle now for 3rd place. Here comes Christopher Powell. Look at him on the brakes into the last corner. I think Westwood's going to hold him to the outside, but no, runs wide. But gets good drive off the corner. Ramanas Sakauskas at the moment is on for equalling his best result in a heat so far this season. He's had 2 second places across the course of the year so far. Can he make it a third? And yes, it was Angus Waddle, now ahead of Alistair Irving for 6th place overall, 3rd in C2. Meanwhile, in C3, Desai still ahead of Breacher, Everest, and Singh. Grachan Kalvinsky, a newer name to the C3 ranks. This is a tough way to get your teeth into Lydd. He's still running out there in 14th place. There's Alistair Irving trying to find a way back past Angus Waddle, who has just received a track limit warning, so we'll need to be careful with that. 40 seconds to go. Coming down the back straight, last lap border is going to be out in a moment. Another 103 from Mike Coppin, who in this really close battle for one of the big trophies at the end of the season is a very good start to his day, Howard.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Using the experience that he gained yesterday, and it's exactly what he needs to open out a strong scoreline for today. Through the bottom parabolica for Coppin, and head back up the hill through the kink and over the crest that in the dry you don't think about, but in the wet, certainly for me yesterday, I was going, oh, hello, there's a corner here. Shoot and onto the back straight, but yeah, exactly the start that he needed to his day.
Down the back straight he goes, has a check over the shoulder. There's absolutely nobody there, Mike. What an impressive victory this is. This is from the middle of the grid as well. It sets Mike Coppin up very nicely for the rest of the day. Mike Coppin wins Heat 1 in lightweights, comfortably clear of the rest of the field. In second place, it's going to be Ramanas Sakauskas, an equal best finish of the year so far. Stephen Westwood third. Fourth for Christopher Powell. Something has happened on the last lap to Steve Hicks because Alistair Irving's popped up to 5th. Angus Waddle is 6th. Hicks in 7th. Not what he would have wanted there. Matthew Cockram in 8th. Rogerio Mendes 9th. Arthara Avra Desai finishes there in 10th. Amy Breacher in 11th. Dean Everest 12th. Jagjit Singh 13th. And last over the line will be Grachan Kalvinsky in 14th.
There we go then. That was lightweights heat number 1. Heat number 2 in your lightweights is coming up next. Let's look at your grid then for Heat 2 in your lightweights. Dan Healy will take this one away from pole with James Wattis alongside on the front row. Dan Seeger and Ed Bars make up row number 2 with Callum Brule and Andrew Rabbage on 3. Greg Smith and Jack O'Neill are up next, and then it'll be Tom Dix and Jed Toole to round out the top 10 on the grid. George Lawler and Rizwan Mangat are on row 6. Row 7 is going to be Sam Morris and Justin Draper, and then Tim Crowther rounds out the 15 karts that we've got on the grid here. Once again, drivers going into their warm-up laps. It's the penultimate heat in which we're going to see that, because after Heat 3 in the lightweights, which is the next race, everybody will have done at least one race. So it is assumed from the perspective of the regulations that they will have completely got up to speed with the conditions. That's the principle. It's a sound principle, but it might not necessarily be the case. Do you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think the rain's got heavier again. It's got worse out there. So, what was it we just saw from Mike Coppin in that last? It was a 103.8, I want to say. I'm going to be keeping an eye on that pace because it has been slowly but surely getting faster the last few races. But yeah, I think it's picking up again out there. So both of our top 2 in the championship on the grid in this one, Jack O'Neill and Ed Bars. And as Andrew was saying, the situation in lightweights is it's quite nice and easy for us all to follow from a championship perspective in heavyweights and lightweights because the headline is the same. If the points leader coming into today can do a clean sweep, then they've got the championship. And that's what Jack O'Neill will be looking to do in this one, starting from 8th on the grid. Ed Bars is ahead of him on the grid, starting in 4th. So that's a key one to keep an eye on here. There are a few more drivers mathematically in this one, though, as Andrew was saying. Dan Healy, Daz Teal. As we said earlier, provisionally at least, we say that Class 2 more or less summed up. Peter Knight with a very, very strong scoreline. So provisionally, we say provisionally because this is based off of our maths. This is not Club 100's official scoring.
Unofficial.
Very unofficially comes into this weekend with that Class 2, the battle for second place going on in that last race. But as the pace car picks them up, and as the Club 100 officials, do you know what? I'm going to complete the trio of shout-outs. We've shouted out to the camera crew, shouted out to the marshals out there, the Club 100 officials who are just doing their all the time outside the window here and around the circuit, doing their job of you know, invigilating those track limits, being spotters. You know, someone's coming in to do a kart change there, you know, putting it into the test queue, getting it tested. So much work that goes on behind the scenes to bring us this fantastic racing. And speaking of which, let's do some now. Dan Healy on pole, James Wattis alongside. Away we go then for heat number 2 in the lightweights in the worsening conditions, if you can believe it, here at Lydd into the first chicane. I've been very impressed by the starts, and that's another impressive one as they all stay pointing in the same direction. I don't think the same couldn't be said for the endurance yesterday, and that's a 2-hour race, and that one had a bit of a ruckus on the first chicane, so that we haven't seen one yet, I think, is to the credit of the field. But look at this start at the front here from Dan Healy. And Ed Bars has managed to get himself up into second place in the number 1 car. As you can see, the kart squirreling around underneath him as he goes over the crest there. The 99 of Jack O'Neill, though, up to 3rd already from 8th on the grid. That is a very impressive start as they come onto the back straight. You can see Tom Dix trying to make some early progress as well as they come into the final corner. It's a case of getting on the brakes and then guiding it round with the power. You don't want to be collecting any of the bark on the outside. At the end of lap 1, though, Dan Healy leads ahead of Ed Bars. Jack O'Neill is up to 3rd place on that first lap. Dan Seeger in 4th, and 5th is James Wattis. Tom Dix here trying to make up some positions between the 2 bus stops. And that is that's James Wattis under pressure from Callum Brule. As they head down towards the Parabolica, Brule will be on the outside. Is he going to be able to find an advantage there? Coming back up the hill. And no, I think Wattis has been able to hang on to this. But there goes Brule in his yellow helmet down the inside. And I think that time he has got it done into horseshoe. In fact, quite a few positions being contested here side by side. And that looks like Tom Dix might be getting by on Lawler there as well. Jack O'Neill has got by Ed Bars. That's significant there. 1st place in the championship ahead of 2nd place. And that is what Ed Bars definitely did not want. And now a 3.069 from Jack O'Neill. His pace out there is ridiculous. 1.3 seconds the gap between himself and Healy. The significance of this being is that if he can win this race, he can keep the dream alive of clinching the championship today.
You can in the strength in the previous race. As Callum Brule working his way through.
Trying to get by
Powered
on
by
Wattis.
the Churros.
Powered by the Churros. I can, you know, obviously I'm always looking for ways to get faster, which is why I copied Callum
last night
for his dessert last night.
Chain of restaurants which will rename
Nameless.
Nameless.
We're not going to maim anybody.
The weather might. 3 minutes and 35 to go. Jack O'Neill leads from Dan Healy and Ed Bars. These are your top 3 drivers in this class this season.
That's a significant change for the lead then.
Yeah.
O'Neill is up into the vital position he needs to be. So if you're Ed Bars or Dan Healy, you got to get him. You got to get Jack and try and deny him. This is not, you know, this isn't the championships on the line because Jack has to win every single one, but
Yep.
you really want to try and not let him get away. This top 3 is crucial at the sharp end of the championship.
Tom Dix had a very good third lap there, gained 3 positions past George Lawler, Andrew Rabbage and James Wattis.
I think that all started when we saw Brule go for Wattis, going into the horseshoe on that last lap, and it all worked itself out. Some people were left out wide.
Jack O'Neill into Dix is now up to 5th place, has got past Callum Brule.
Yeah, Wattis has got back past Rabbage as well. Good little battle there for 8th place. As they all work their way through the second, well, most of them work their way through the second bus stop. The top 3 are ahead by 6.7 seconds. That's the gap between Ed Bards in 3rd and Dan Seeger. There, it looks like Andrew Rabbage has gone round to me at the second bus stop chicane.
Hello to Jay Elliott, following us on the DDMM comms box stream with Mike Coppins' heat last time out.
He must have the wrong stream. He said that things are looking good.
Well, we've
Just
just had
looking
a
at
comment
comms box today.
90 seconds or thereabouts to go. Jack O'Neill continues to lead. We're having a look here at George Lawler, continuing this really impressive drive. The C3 driver there in karts number 48, keeping James Wattis behind him. A very experienced driver at this level.
Andrew Rabbage's spin confirms that he slips down the order to 12th place. The benefit of Jed Toole, Justin Draper and Greg Smith. Is that a driver off at the second?
Yeah, I think it was.
Well off to drivers left.
Maybe Sam Morris, because Sam Morris hasn't come through to complete lap number 5. Track limit warning for Isram Mangat, the driver in kart number 150.
Callum Brule once again throwing the kart into the turn in the horseshoe. The 48 there in pursuit of George Lawler, having a great run, as you say, Andrew. Highest place of the novice class 3 runners. As up at the front, Jack O'Neill begins his final tour of the circuit for this heat.
He does indeed, and this really is a big statement from Jack O'Neill for what he needs to do today, what he wants to do today to try and wrap up this title. Long way to go, of course. Lots of racing still to be had here at Lydd today. But to get a first win and get it in a heat where your two closest championship rivals, should say, are in action. Still got to get round this half lap, though. The conditions so tricky. You can see the spray being kicked up by Jack O'Neill there as he comes into the horseshoe.
My only question, Andrew, is Ed Barrs close enough to have a snipe at Dan Healy here in the final half of the lap? Because, of course, he wants to get as many points on the board. But as you say, the significance of Jack not just winning his first heat, but winning it ahead of some of his key rivals is big news.
Yeah, and a bit of a wobble on the back straight there. It is getting tricky on that back straight again, but that's no matter to Jack O'Neill. Jack O'Neill takes heat number 2 here in the lightweights and further cements his position at the top of the table. Dan, for the day, we'll see in due course. Bit of a wait now to find our C2 winner, but it's going to be Dan Seeger, I think, over the line. Tom Dix gets him for 4th place overall, but Dan Seeger 5th is still your top C2. Good drive there from Dan. Callum Brule gets 6th place, 2nd in C2. A fantastic drive from George Lawler, the C3 driver there. Top C3, 7th overall ahead of James Wattis, Greg Smith and Jed Toole. That's your top 10. Justin Draper 11th. Andrew Rabbage had a spin up there, finishes in 12th. And then we've got to have Rizwan Magrat over the line in 13th. Tim Crowter and Sam Morris. That's your order there in heat number 2.
That's that then, and already outside I can hear the engines singing as they get ready now for heat number 3 coming up next. Let's take a look at your grid then. This is the last heat where the drivers are going to get the crucial warm-up laps to get to grips with conditions. Keith Segal will start this one on pole. A lot of experience there sitting on the pole spot for this one. Thomas Barrett alongside David Longman and Ashley White are on row number 2 with Tony Philbin and Bryn Alban on row 3. Then it's Oscar Lancaster and Cameron Williams with Ned Douglas and Rihanna Percox rounding out the top 10. Toby Smith and Joe Ratcliffe are your 6th row. It'll be Luke Dunnett and James Dunnett for an all Dunnett 7th row, with Andy Berry rounding out the 15 karts taking part in this third heat in the lightweight. Sixth heat that we've run today, because we are mixing it up between lightweights and heavyweights on the schedule today. It is like a sprint round a la 2019. There is a fourth heat for the lightweights. Good point. Sorry, that's a very good point.
Statman with the save.
Statman with the correction there, because we have a larger grid of
larger
lightweights here.
Over the heavies.
Yeah, good point, well made. Sorry. So it's not the last heat where they get to grips with the conditions. If you are... I was about to say, if you're looking for a weather update, it's just rain. It's all rain and quite a bit of wind. But there we go. You're enjoying the coverage? I do hope wherever you're enjoying the coverage from, you're somewhere drier and warmer than the drivers are experiencing.
More stats coming in from Mr. Whitehouse. That was the 13th heat win of the season for Jack O'Neill, and it was indeed Lawler's best result of the season so far. I mean, that is... It's always good to get a best result of the season so far. I feel like you're moving forward, but to do it in those conditions, that is very, very good from George Lawler. And
hey, that's the aspect of this we've spoken about how difficult it is, the kind of opportunities that these conditions can bring as well. You know, we can get on top of them. We can get an upset. I think what's been apparent to me throughout this race meeting, mate, is that the folks at the front of the championships are so proficient in all conditions. You know, we're not seeing what you sometimes see in forms of motorsport, where you know the wins are being taken off by perhaps someone who we don't usually see win. Plenty of racing still to go. Yep. But I'm just saying it's a key thing for the Jack O'Neills, for the Joe Holmes, for the Anwars, for the Ed Bart, that they are so good across the board here at a circuit where we haven't done that much wet weather racing in recent seasons. It's important to note that as well. There was a bit of rain. We're trying to think back. There was a bit of rain in 2017.
2017, there was a tiny bit. I mean, nothing on the level of what we've had here. And the other thing as well, Lydd isn't a circuit that we tend to come to with BUKC, which
exactly. BUKC, as far as I'm aware, has never.
It has been.
Oh, it has been here
graduates,
particularly because that's a season that runs to keep in with the academic year. A lot of running in the February, March. You're going to get some rain. You're going to get some adverse weathers. You haven't got that experience, that body of experience either. Here we go, though. Keith Segal will lead them away for heat number 3 of our lightweights in the number 58 as they head towards the first chicane again. Is it another clean start? There's a bit of a touch, I think, on the rear bumper of Segal's kart, but they all keep it together and work their way through once again. A very impressive clean start heading through the second chicane. It is still Segal in the lead. Barrett and Longman trying to make hay in the early phases here as well, from second and third on the grid. I promise you there's a circuit somewhere in that shot as they come out of the parabolica and up the hill towards the horseshoe. And it is still Keith Segal, his experience showing here in the early phases. So much standing water on the inside. Look at the puddle that's on the inside there. You can see the wind rippling through. Squirreling around through the horseshoe and onto the back straight, trying to get as much grip so you can carry the speed down the back straight. Only to want to very quickly shave it all off again so that you can get into this final corner. Not a lot of sliding through that final corner, though. The drivers are finding a good amount of grip given the amount of water. And this is what we're talking about here at Lydd. It is a fairly abrasive surface. You can get surprisingly good grip based off of... I mean, it is bad, but it isn't quite as bad as your eyes tell you it is.
And there's a good amount of grip to be had with that curb on the outside, which if you get the speed right can give you a bit of comfort on that far edge. Obviously, if you go too far, it's bark time. Yeah, there is a good amount of speed.
His pace isn't bad, but it happens to be the nature of the race at this point, that he's a bit of the cork in the bottle. You can just see him coming around now. Rihanna Percox is trying to get by on him. In fact, here they are side by side across the line, and Percox has got that move done. So Rihanna up into 6th place now as she moves up the field.
For Ashley White, so that'll be 4 places deducted at the end of his race. Keith Segal here could be on for a best result of the season so far is, thank again to our stat man in the remote DDMM data centre. Best result so far for Keith this season in a heat is 7th. Well, at the moment he's sitting on 2nd place with that penalty for Ashley White. Contact warning again for... Actually, no, not again. It's the other Dunnett this time. So Luke Dunnett there. The penalty for Ashley White has just disappeared off my screen there, so maybe that was a... Ah, yes, it's been rescinded to a contact warning. Okay, so no penalty for Ashley White.
I have to say, I did feel that was slightly harsh for it to be a full 4-place deduction, so I'm in concurrence with that decision. Side by side across the line there, I think that was James Dunnett and Luke Dunnett having a good battle.
Yep.
Over 9th place. An eye on there. That's for the highest place Class 3 runner in this one. Rihanna Percox, meanwhile, is up onto the back of the likes of Tom Barrett and Bryn Alban. This is 4th, 5th and 6th, respectively. And she's gone down the inside, I think, there, of the Parabolica and is through on Bryn Alban, I'm fairly certain. Yep, the number 5 now ahead of the 16 as they come over the rise. So Rihanna Percox, having got past Ned Douglas a couple of laps ago, now able to work her way onto the back of the next pack and has got by up into 5th place. And she is a driver with plenty of BUKC experience in the West.
BUKC experience in bad conditions. But yeah,
I don't think driving for Birmingham was that bad though. I can make that joke.
You can make that.
I can make that joke.
David Longman leading the race now, 2.8 seconds. And what we haven't mentioned is that this is the first time he's raced in sprints this season. He's clearly not lost it. All of that talent that we've seen over the years coming back to the fore here at Lydd. 70 seconds of the race to go.
Barrett under pressure from Percox now out of the second chicane. Will Percox go Alban? She's going to try it to the inside. Can she hold the slide? Yes, she can. Again, good. Actually making that inside line work really well there is Percox. That's the 2nd lap in a row that she's got by through that means and up into 4th place.
Yeah, good move from Rihanna. 45 seconds on the clock. There'll be this lap plus one more. David Longman continues to edge out this gap. The level of precipitation is reducing. The amount of water pouring off the steps out the window to my right has decreased. It's still very wet out there. On to the last lap we go then. Bit of a slide from Thomas Barrett there. Has a check over the shoulder. Bryn Alban, who's been one of the most improved drivers across the course this season, having another strong race here. New PB, 65.839. But here's your leader, Howard. And this really is very impressive. I know David well. He's a fellow JLRian. To come back, your first race of the year, get straight back on it and put this kind of performance in, it's very good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant return to action here from Longman. Has controlled it well. And you can see he's got... It's very undramatic, his style in these conditions. All looks very measured and controlled. And he's going to come round the final corner here. Eyebrow when you said that the precipitation has reduced. I know there's less dripping off of there. I think it's just gone... Yeah, that's slightly delayed. Looking at the puddles outside. Anyway, next up here at Lydd is heat number 4 for our lightweights.
Here we go then. Here's your grid for heat number 4, the last of the first rotation. Daz Teal, winner last time out, has pole position ahead of Sam Slater, also on the front row, one of our BIKC drivers. Rob Langthorpe and Reece Pope form up row 2. Garrett Berry and Peter Knight are on the 3rd row of the grid here at Lydd for this race. Josh Adams and Dante Dillon start on row 4. Jason Bradbury and James Browning are on row 5. Aaron Stillwell and Russell Cooper are on the 6th row of the grid. And then Samuel Essery and Ross O'Brien have their starts from the back. In the novices, on the 7th row of the grid there's 14 karts in the field.
I am dancing on Comms Box Cam
You are
to music
dancing on Comms Box Cam.
To music that you
Is
can't
that
hear.
allowed?
So if that doesn't get people watching, I don't know what will.
There we go. Thank you to in the way that YouTube acts. He's not told us who you are, but there is a new subscriber on the DDMM channel, so thank you very much for that. We've got more stuff coming up in the week. The finale of the Club 100 Gran Turismo Sport Esports League. That's 5th season. Culminates on Tuesday night, 9 p.m. And then the following 2 weeks, more midweek Club 100 sim racing action, with the last 2 rounds of our iRacing series taking place. So plenty to get your teeth into across the course of November. Conditions still abysmal here at Lydd.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to agree with you. I think the rain has slightly dipped.
Yes.
It's been turned down from 11 to 10. Oh, yeah, the wind's compensating.
Yep.
But just marginally better. I do just want to talk as well, not so much as yesterday when they had the endurance here, but there is a logistical challenge, in the paddock as well here. Is your kit all right? Is it somewhere that's dry?
Because there's not that much cover here, and we're still obviously trying to keep all spaced out, so not huddled with everybody's kit in one place or in the clubhouse, for example. So yes, that is a challenge for the drivers and the teams out there.
At least they're not having to do the dither of, is it rain suit conditions? Do I put the rain suit on?
Let's talk about Daz Teal, though, because his win last time out at Wilton Mill, and I don't think he's stopped smiling since that victory in the final at Wilton Mill. It was a very popular one in the paddock. Had a brief chat to him yesterday, and I think he's in a relaxed manner. Automatically, he's still in there with a chance of winning the title, but we've seen that top 3 race earlier on the day: O'Neill, Bars, and Healy.
My reference puddle is looking very Ripley.
Yes,
and also
that's a technical term.
And also is physically larger.
Has it got more wide? Let's put it in GTE status. It got to BMW M8 width of wide yet?
Well, no, I'm not sure the circuit's that wide.
That's when we really are in the sea. Anyway, there's a race about to begin. Daz Teal there, kart number 6 on pole position. No Sam Slater on the front row I can see there. So Rob Langthorpe is in P2, but away we go for 7 minutes at Lydd. Heat number 4 in the lightweights.
You can see how strong the wind is there as they head down towards the second chicane. Just having a quick look out the window, no, there hasn't been any tantrums down at the first chicane.
Reese Pope up to second place. The dark blue and black helmet there. Track limit warning for Peter Knight. I imagine that was on the exit of the first bus stop. There's quite a significant curb on the outside of there. Sam Slater confirmed not in this race.
Yeah.
Quite a few of our lights haven't been able to get here to fulfil the entries. Oscar Lancaster, Toby Smith, Steph Theodorio and Colin Reynolds. Meadows.
Yeah, important for Reese Pope to try the progress in here in that battle for second place in the championship.
Bump and pass penalty for Garrett Berry in karts number 60. But through comes Josh Adams, who has really impressed me this season. Is up to third place now. So it's Teal from Berry, Adams, Langthorpe, Pope, Knight, Samuel Essery up to 7th place on that first lap from the C3s. He's getting closer and closer to winning the C3 title. Doesn't have to do anything particularly exceptional as a C3, we reckon, to wrap up that title today. That's a very good start for him up into the, pretty much into the top half of this field.
Yeah, absolutely. Was that Josh Adams putting pressure on Garrett Berry? I saw heading over the rise. As also back here, that is Rob Langthorpe being taken by, was that Peter Knight going by him there?
I think it might have been Essery. I think
might have been Essery, right? Yeah, there's been
a couple of positions already on this lap.
Yeah, quite a few changes as they were into the horseshoe. Yeah, indeed. The 107 is ahead of the 12. So Rob Langthorpe losing out there to Essery. And he's going to lose out again. Is that Reese Pope going by?
Yeah. And I think Langthorpe hit the big puddle on the back straight there. And it literally does stop your momentum. It's that big.
Yeah. Dante Dillon's by as well there in the 50 up into 7th place. So yeah, difficult sequence of corners there for Rob Langthorpe.
4.5 minutes to go. Daz Teal 1.6 seconds clear of Garrett Berry. Garrett Berry, though, is the fastest driver out there, a 64.081 last time around.
And needs it with the 4th-place position penalty to be applied at the end of the race.
Elsewhere in C3, by the way, Aaron Stillwell has got a good gap over Russell Cooper for 10th place overall. 2nd place in C3 is the number 17 of Jason Bradbury. Someone's clipped Colin there. Oh dear.
Oh, and the 23 is going to go the wide way around there.
That's okay. Keep everything under control, and it is the number 62 of Aaron Stillwell who's unfortunately had that moment and has lost a number of positions.
Peter Knight down the inside of Reese Pope for 5th place. He's going to judge it well, I think, so long as he can find the grip on the exit. Reese Pope is going to try and come back at him because he has a slightly wider line. And if you just that cart width out from the second apex, there is good grip out there. How did that all end down at the first chicane? We'll have to catch up with that one as Knight and Pope do the battle, and that is a confirmed switch, is it? That
for 2nd place, yeah.
For 2nd, indeed. But Reese Pope was able to take that back off of Peter Knight, I can see out there. 3 wide, in fact, going through the parabolica there between Pope, Knight, and is it Dante Dillon as well, I think,
Dante
in on this.
Dillon's come through.
So at the moment it's the 42, the 50, and then the 102, which makes it Pope, Dillon, and Knight in that battle over 5th place. Sam Essery pulling away from all of this, I think, ahead of them.
So Josh Adams up to 2nd place, and as he made that move on Garrett Berry, also set the fastest lap of the heat so far. This lap is going to be very telling. What is the gap? He's closing in. He really is closing in. Teal and Adams fighting over the lead now. 0.348 of a second between them with 2.5 minutes to go.
And the pace difference on that last lap, 1.2, to be 1.2 seconds a lap faster than Daz Teal. Teal really needs to suddenly find some pace in the latter portion.
2 minutes to go. Josh Adams has had a really breakout season so far. He's raced in lots of different formats as well. Didn't experience, as down the inside there goes Dante Dillon, gets past Reese Pope for 5th place. Wasn't out in the endurance yesterday, was Adams, so didn't, here they are, down the back straight, so didn't experience this level of water, but got a good impression of where there is some grip around this circuit when he raced in the Sprint 60 yesterday. 1 minute and 36. But look at this, Garrett Berry's now closed up.
Yeah.
And is there in 3rd place now. Does have the penalty. We've got a 1, 2, 3 here.
Yeah, good battle for 1st, 2nd and 3rd. Good battle for 5th, 6th and 7th. Sam Essery having a rather quiet time at the moment as they head down to the parabolica. It is still Daz Teal in front. There is Dante Dillon going by on Peter Knight. So I think that's Dillon up into 5th place. Reese Pope with some attentions of Jason Bradbury as well. Oh, and Pope's round. Pope is round, and that's going to be costly for him. We mentioned him in that championship battle for 2nd. He's going to need some better results than that. I can see the battle for the lead, though, coming onto the back straight now. Here it is.
Penalty for Jason Bradbury, so I think that was in that's what meant that Reese Pope was going round as Josh Adams goes down the inside, takes but no, side by side as they go into turn 1 onto the last lap in the patterned helmet. Adams in the all white helmet. He's a wily old driver, is Daz Teal. He's been in this position many times. I think he knows he's not got the ultimate pace of the 2 drivers behind, and has a massive wobble as he comes through the puddle there. Sticks to the inside. Tries to control the pace of the 2 drivers behind as they go through the horseshoe. This is great driving from all 3 of them.
I think it's the highest winds we've seen all day so far, Andrew. That's something to bear in mind. They'll have the headwind as they come onto this back straight.
And now it's getting, that's aquaplaning. That's getting into the position that we were in yesterday. Last lap. Are they going to get round the final corner? Berry's having a little look up the inside of Josh Adams there. Can they get the drive off the corner? Daz Teal is going to hold on for victory here. Josh Adams is going to take 2nd place. 3rd for Garrett Berry, but remember he has a penalty. That will promote Samuel Essery to his best result of the season so far in a heat. 3rd, once that penalty has been applied. Peter Knight gets Dante Dillon back for 5th place overall on the last lap there. And will have the win in C2 as a result. Jason Bradbury in 7th, but has a penalty. Rob Langthorpe in 8th, Reese Pope 9th, and then it's Russell Cooper across the line next to the C3s. Ross O'Brien Aaron Stillwell and James Browning.
And I think Teal was slightly unhappy with a bit of contact on that back straight, but in fairness to Adams, I think there was a sudden change in Teal's speed as his kart did the best impression of a catamaran on the back straight. But Teal it is who takes the win there. Next up is heat number 4 for the heavyweights. Let's take Zee and Mikey Nichols round out your top 10 with Tim Hill looking for a slightly better one this time around with Anwar Burrell-Smith alongside. Bradley Porter and Matt Batter will be things to be looking out in this one. Anwar Burrell-Smith will be looking to get up the order as much as possible. Trying to get good points on the board in his battle over second place. But also in this one is Matt Warman in that battle for second place, so he'll also be looking. Basically, it's a resumption of that battle as well. So we saw a good battle between Pritchard and Bodner, who are on the front row here, and it's also important to look at Warman versus Burrell-Smith. Here we go, though, on heat number 4 of the heavyweights for round 10. Into the spray once more, and into the first chicane, and I can see somebody round there out the window. It is the 23 of Andrew Cherry. That's from quite high up on the grid for him, so frustration there. He has got going again, but Cherry spun out there towards the back of the field, so he's got a little bit of a recovery to go on now. Still Alex Pritchard, though, and indeed Bodner is under pressure, more from Lewis Ridd behind as they head into the Parabolica. It was clean through the second bus stop, though, so only Andrew Cherry with an incident so far. But good start here from Alex Pritchard, one of the key players in the Class 2 standings of this Heavyweights Championship. There's the 42 of Jordan Salter, who's also held on for 4th place. Not too much change at the front of the field.
Just held the outside, got enough grip that it meant it put that doubt in Anwar's mind to go for it. And when Anwar can't afford a penalty in a day like today. So, good work there from Mike. Alex Pritchard continues to lead, and his pace is really, really good here. He's comfortably a couple of seconds quicker than everybody else, apart from, let's say, Anwar and Matt out there, but they're currently stuck with a bit of traffic. 4 minutes to go. There's Cherry again. We've seen the number 23s pulling away from those in the C3 category. Side by side, Matt Wildman and Mike Bodner, and here comes, as Kieran Chigsky hits the big puddle there. And he's going to try and go around the outside. That's a really brave line from Kieran Chigsky, and he's going to be rewarded with a position out of it. Good stuff.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of drivers were finding, was that the grip levels on the outside of that corner pretty good. It's just slightly more a slightly more hairy experience because you have to get closer to the runoff and close to the
final corner. Howard will just try and check who that is.
He's underway again now.
Has got has gone down to 16th place as a result of that. 3 minutes and 10 to go. Fastest heavyweight lap of the day, in fact, for Alex Pritchard there. That lap time that he did a 1 minute 3. Sorry, that was earlier in the race. That was earlier in the day in Heat 1.
That was Warman by on Ridd, was it not, into the horseshoe? So there's a few changes going on here, which means Burrell-Smith has got by on Ridd as well earlier on in this lap.
Ridd's going to come back, though, at Matt Wildman, back down the inside, and here comes Kieran Chigsy as well. My goodness, what a move that is from Kieran Chigsy.
Catch the curb, though.
Yeah, he catches the curb. That sends him sideways. Ridd's going to retake the position. That was a fantastically entertaining bit of racing there between those three drivers.
Good little
battle. Pritchard leads from Burrell-Smith by 9 seconds. What a drive this is from Alex Pritchard.
Good little battle going on between Bradley Porter and Tim Williams as well over 9th place. Porter, the number 91 highest place of the Class 3 runners at the moment, so keeping an eye on that one as well. But this is a tremendous battle, as you say, going on here now through the Parabolica. But yeah, Alex Pritchard just controlling this one brilliantly at the front. And I said the conditions were getting worse. The pace doesn't say so. Yeah. Either the drivers are learning how to deal with these conditions better as the 42 goes side by side. That's Jordan Salter battling away with Tim Williams now. So it looks like Williams has maybe made up a few positions in the first half of this lap. Here it is, though, the resumption of the battle that we saw earlier on in the heats today. Burrell-Smith versus Warman for second in the race. But it might be second in something a little bit bigger that they're fighting for.
Pritchard's pace here, that's the fastest lap of a heavyweight today, 63.313. And just hope that he can keep this going, because what would be a real shame is if he had some form of incident that threw away this 10-second lead.
Yeah, he wants to keep it on the island.
It's almost one of those I wonder if...
Broken on timing. That's how good his pace is. I thought that was broken. Here's Wildman, though, on the tail of Burrell Smith. The 70 versus the number 2. As they come into the horseshoe. Straight now, who's got the better drive here through the spray, through the puddles. Particularly off to driver's left here. Wildman is on the inside, but he's not going to be as strong on the brakes, or as bold on the brakes, perhaps one should say. And through the final corner they come. On to the last lap has already gone Alex Pritchard. And so this battle for second comes on to the last lap. And was that a look into the first chicane from Wildman? Didn't pay off, I can just see out the window as they head down towards the second chicane. Meanwhile, our leaders all wreck in place for now.
What a drive this has been from Kieran Chigsey as well.
Yes, massive drive.
There he is in the all white.
He can hang it around the outside of the final corner. He can hang it on the inside of the final corner. Oh, big plume there as Burrell Smith hits a puddle. And is that going to give Wildman a look on the outside? He'll be able to find some grip out there and perhaps take an alternative line through the horseshoe. We do need to keep one eye on start-finish because Alex Pritchard will be coming round to take this win. But here it is, and look out for Chigsey here. He's got nothing to lose here through the spray. He's got more speed. There's Pritchard showboating across the line in all senses of the word. But look at Chigsey on the outside of Burrell Smith. He's already got past Wildman. Here they come towards the line. Burrell Smith is just going to hang on for second place. Kieran Chigsey, what a drive from the 107 super heavyweight drive. That's a brilliant drive from Chigsey. I'd wager that's got to be one of his best results of the season. In fact, is it the best result of his season so far? Brilliant drive there from Keir. Fifth, then it was Callan Sigafus, Mike Bodner, Tim Williams, Jordan Salter, and Bradley Porter rounding out your top 10 in the highest place of your novice Class 3 drivers. That was a highly entertaining finish to that one. Just goes to show the different lines on that back straight and how it can all play out by the time they get to the final corner. We've got more action in the heavyweights.
Yep,
absolutely, here at Lydd.
Shall I do this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, heat number 5 for the heavyweights. Here's your grid. Lee Henderson has pole position. Matthew Mandapira alongside on the front row. Miguel Hall and Richard Allen on row 2. Anthony Ridd and Joel Arguelles are on the third row of the grid. Lee and Simon Kavanagh that are there on row number 6. Chris Alcock and Jaden Cadigan going from the back of those who are not novices on row 7. Then it's Lawrence Che, Martin Robinson on row 8, Luke Elliott and Stephen Hullock on row 9. 18 karts in the field.
Sorry, what just threw me is that Reece Pope was just outside the window. I went, oh, is it lightweight? I just suddenly got thrown at the last minute.
The drive was trying to hide from the weather.
It's just a general collection of drivers trying to hide from the elements. But I just suddenly went, wait, what?
You're not meant to be here. Go outside.
Deary me.
Big race this for Lee Henderson.
It is.
And another super heavyweight. You know, we've just seen Kieran Chigsey have a really good result. Lee Henderson, another one of those drivers in that mix for super heavyweights championship. This is a good opportunity for him to get some strong points. Away we go then for 7.
Maybe our pole sitter has gone round. It was from very high up the field. Just keep your eyes out for who's still... Lee's okay, sorry, yeah. It may well have been. Someone from very high up the grid there did go into a spin. They've got back underway again now. But yeah, Lee Henderson's fine. You've got the distinctive lid design there with the blue and sort of high-vis yellow going on. As they come through the parabolica at the bottom of the lap, doesn't seem to have been any other dramas out there. Miguel Hall trying to make early progress here, as is Adam Wright, side by side, turning into the horseshoe with the 160 of Chris Alcock. Making a lot of early progress here, I think, if they will come through. But at the moment it is Lee Henderson who leads on the back straight, as is that... There's contact, and that's round for Lee Henderson, and he's lost out from the lead there. Just got the nerve from the front bumper of Richard Allen, and from his perspective, understandably, he is rather upset about that one. Here it is, and it's a difficult one, Andrew, because everyone was trying to use as much space as they could find.
And I'm not sure there's much that Richard Allen could have done there because he was being sandwiched. I don't know whether Lee was aware that he had 2 karts on his inside.
I don't think he can have been. I don't think he can have been. And it was indeed, I think, Mandapira who had the incident at the first chicane, because he's now down to 13th place. So on a bit of a recovery drive, unfortunately, there for Mandapira. Adam Wright leads, though, now, after that dramatic end to the first lap. Miguel Hall in second place. Here it is, in fact. No, here it isn't, because Richard Allen has got back past Miguel Hall earlier on in this lap and through the puddles and the spray now. Miguel Hall will try and get back at Allen.
It's going to run wide, though. Allen will have the inside, but not have the good line for drive out the corner. And Chris Alcock's going to try and take advantage of that. Gets past Miguel and slips there into third place. Good heads-up driving once again from Chris Alcock. Yep,
absolutely. Anthony Ridd running in 5th place, trying to get onto the back of the top 4 here. Adam Wright with a 104.4 out the box, and frankly, I've no idea where that puts him in general form because the conditions just keep changing.
They do,
but
indeed.
It's impressive pace for what is happening on track right now. 1.1 seconds to the good, as Chris Alcock has pulled out a bit of a gap over Miguel Hall here in the first half of this lap, and I think that's going to allow Alcock to focus on applying pressure to Richard Allen, as that was a battle going. Was that Simon Kavanagh battling away with, was it Fuller?
Yeah, it's
as
Tom
they
Fuller
came into the horseshoe there.
In the pink and black helmet. Good run being put in here by Lawrence Chair at the moment. Is in 11th place overall, but top C3. Just ahead of Joel Arguelles. 4 minutes to go. Start of a new lap. Adam Wright. And, oh, my goodness me, Richard Allen, a 103.276. That is a pretty quick lap time in today's money. And we said that Richard Allen was pumped up for this one today and looking for strong results. Are we going to see a challenge on the leader here from the C2 driver in kart number 26? There's a track limit warning out there, and down the inside goes Richard Allen. Can he get it stopped? Look at that kart control from both drivers there.
Oh, big puddle for Wright.
For Adam Wright, and squirms his way through it. Here comes Chris Alcock down the inside of Richard Allen. Thinks better of it there into the horseshoe.
I don't quite know how Wright found any drive at all up that straight, but he did. Fair play to him. And he's still in the lead as they go through the big amount of standing water on the exit of horseshoe. And look at this down the back straight, still hitting massive puddles there. There's a bit of bumper-to-bumper contact, but frankly, who can blame them in these conditions as the difference in speed that keeps happening as the puddles on their individual lines. It's still Adam Wright in the lead as Richard Allen goes for that early turn-in that we've been talking about as they cross-start-finish. Literally, as soon as you do it, you've got to start getting the steering lock down to try and get your Club 100 Rotax Evo boat to steer into the first chicane. No this weekend, but
Allen back down the inside, trying to do that same move. That lake is there. Adam Wright crosses it.
Chris Alcock doing everything he needs to, just hovering around, waiting for the opportunity. That is the 72 Steve Bosley, who's got past Anthony Ridd for 5th place as well. The 72 now ahead of the 68.
Martin Robinson has got past Matthew Mandapira, by the way, for 16th place. Another one of our C3s there.
Good end to the lap for Adam Wright, though. I think he's just been able to pull out a little bit of breathing space over Richard Allen. He has 2.5 tenths quicker on that lap. And change for 5th place confirmed as
Henderson. This lap plus one more to go then. Adam Wright has that gap now over Richard Allen. Comes down over the rise and into the horseshoe once again. And still the spray being kicked up there. There's Steve Bosley in the white and blue hooped helmet. Karts number 72. Henderson and Fuller at the back of that quartet, trying to work together, maybe gain some positions late on in this heat. This is the second rotation, second race for all of these drivers out there at the moment, the last of the heavyweight heats. And there's been a change at the front. Yes, there has. So Richard Allen has got through, has got past Adam Wright as they go on to the last lap, and he's got best part of half a second over the rest of the field as well as they go into well, I said it was the best part of half a second. Adam Wright's fought back there and closed it back up again.
Absolutely. And they managed to do whatever exchange they had. They managed to do it without opening the door for Chris Alcock. Get to the bottom of this lap, so they're going to come back up the circuit now. Adam Wright making the wide line work well, but there's contact there, and I thought that was going to go into a full-on spin. Amazing control from Adam Wright to hang back onto that one, and he's taken the lead in the midst of doing that.
I had visions of Adam Wright going back to bus stop 2 there. That was a remarkable piece of karts control. Onto the back straight we go. Through the spray once again. Is there going to be a move for Richard Allen to go down the drive off the last corner? Is it going to be a drag race to the line? No, it's going to be Richard Allen who takes the race victory. Adam Wright second. Oh, by 1/10 of a second. Less than 1/10 of a second.
I'm going to call that a drag race to the line. That got very close.
Chris Alcock in third. Miguel Hall in fourth. More solid points for the Boz. Steve Bosley there in fifth. Anthony Ridd in sixth. Lee Henderson. Maybe a bit disappointed with the way that race went, but it's still decent points there in seventh. Tom Fuller eighth, Simon Kavanagh ninth. Another good drive in the wet from Lawrence Chair there, top seed 3 and 10th overall. Joel Arguelles in 11th, Richard Masterson, Luke Elliott, Jaden Cadigan, Martin Robinson, Stephen Hullock and Matthew Mandapira. That's your order there in heat number 5. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back with heat 6 very shortly.
Just to confirm that one of the shots you saw was of a nearby pool. It's meant to be a body of water, that one.
Yes.
It wasn't just live pictures from turn 1. Kevin Coombs starts this one from pole. Paul Jameson alongside Chris Kirk and Alindo Venturi are on row number 2 with Paul Williams, and Joe Holmes on row number 3. Craig Brown and David Jarvis are on row 4 with Tarek Almu and Steve Lindley rounding out the top 10. Josh Pettit and Jason Bear are your 6th row of the grid with Richard Newton and David Wilson on row number 7. Sam Bensley and Benjamin Wotton are on row 8, and it's row 9 for Dan Hollinshead and Frankie Bennett. And then rounding out there we go, a 19 kart field will be Christian Hoos in the 177. That's how they line up for this one.
Nath asks, can we get a replay of that aquaplaning? Don't worry, Nath. There's going to be plenty more of it to go. You're not going to miss it. So this is the last group of heavyweights going for their second race. And you see that driver there. Third back on the inside, Joe Holmes. Big opportunity for him this. Remember, needs a clean sweep to take the title today. He's already seen the likes of Anwar Burrell-Smith and Matt Wildman drop points in their second races. Here we go then for 7 minutes here at Lydd. Kevin Coombs takes us from pole position ahead of Paul Jameson. Into turn 1 they go. You can see Craig Brown already making moves in kart number 41. And it's looking like a good start, Howard.
Yeah, didn't see any issues either. Just doing my little sanity check on it all out the window. The puddles that I have to say, by the way, for anyone starting on that pole side of the grid, there is some standing water on driver's riding as he was trying to get underway there. Really quite something. As they all head through the parabolica. Clearly hitting that massive puddle is a great strategy, and it defies knowledge of how to drive the whip. Anyway, Tarek Almu versus the 41 of Craig Brown there as they head into the horseshoe for the first time. Craig Brown there as Joe Holmes is going to try and buy into this battle as well through the spray. He's going to go down the inside of the final corner, the first apex, and there's the second apex, and he's got the job done, meaning that at the end of lap number 1 it is Kevin Coombs ahead of Tarek Almu, Joe Holmes, Craig Brown, and then Josh Pettit is good first lap from him actually, up into 5th place.
Is indeed. The thing that I would say for drivers out there or people watching on the stream, if you want to see what we're meaning by the aquaplaning, is look at the driver's hands on the wheel as they go down the back straight, and you can see how much they're having to work, because the front bumper becomes like a rudder. That's the weird thing as well. It's not like being in a boat and you've got your rudder at the rear. You're almost doing it all in reverse, and you're just hanging on out there.
A very scoop-shaped rudder.
Yes.
Not the right shape for a rudder at all.
No, it's a very inefficient rudder. But a rudder nonetheless. 5 minutes 20 to go. Oh, big load of water kicked up there by Kevin Coombs, who's still leading this race. Here comes...
Yellows out.
And the yellows are out. Or is it just drivers communicating with one another? I think it was. Be. Yeah, it was just Joe Holmes saying to Craig Brown, push me, mate, push me through. let's work together. So that was a legitimate overtake from Holmes and Brown. So Coombs from home, Brown, Almu. Josh Petit still there in 5th place. Paul Williams 6th. Richard Newton there in 7th.
Wanted to give a shout out to Newton actually. Yeah, up to
Yes.
7th. Good first lap, and off the back of
Quite a big incident.
and having a good start there, up to 7th place.
Shout out as well to John Patterson, who's out there getting, I'm sure, brilliant pictures as always for the Club 100 community.
In spite of everything,
Yes.
we're sure he'll be getting some amazing shots in these conditions.
He'll probably be the only person out there wearing shorts today. At least he was yesterday. Again, look at that. David Jarvis cutting through the water there.
Jimbo's not wearing, like...
I mean, that's how bad it is.
That's how bad it is.
Craig Brown looking for a way past Kevin Coombs.
Rating run of things at the moment for Paul Williams.
The one solace is that there's no C final for the heavyweights today.
There is that.
There's a guarantee that already you're going to be in the B final, and with the way these conditions are, I don't think we can say, oh yes, this is the top 8. These are where we expect the top 4 promotees to come from in this race. No, you could be absolutely anywhere on the grid for a B final and get up into those promotion repechage.
I wonder if the takeout is for something against Bear or possibly something involving Paul Williams.
I think it will be, Jarvis on Bear, because they were in a similar region of the order not that long ago. 2.5 minutes to go. Here comes the pace of G3 Joe. Joe Holmes does up 62.728. Data Centre, I'm sure, will confirm, but I think that's the fastest lap for a heavyweight so far today.
Yeah, really impressive pace. Has anyone got within a second of that pace on their PB?
Not in this race.
Not in this race. That is how fast Holmes is going here. There's a battle there going through the Parabolica.
Richard Newton's had a bit of trouble out there as well, has fallen down to 12th place.
Kevin Coombs battling here with Josh Pettit as they head into the horse.
So 2 minutes to go. Contact warnings you see on the digiflag there for Richard Newton and David Jarvis. Down the back straight they go. Coombs continuing to have this great race, taking advantage of starting from the front of the field. Yes, confirmed that is the fastest lap for any heavyweight so far today, and he's the only driver in heavyweights to get into the 102s.
Change for second place. Tarek Almu past Craig Brown. I have felt that Almu's been very confident in these wet conditions this weekend. Seemed to have really good pace yesterday.
And it's great to have him back as well. Wasn't able to, or travels over from mainland Europe for these races, so wasn't able to compete for a while in Club 100.
Hasn't even had to dock this weekend.
No. But 60 seconds to go. Is Joe Holmes heavyweight sprints title. He's got one more lap after this one.
Good battle for 9th. Sam Bensley leading quite a pack coming up the back through the horseshoe at this point. Good little battle going on there. Bensley, Wootton, Jameson. Quite a few of our Class 3 runners and super heavyweights down there as the call goes outside for, come on, everyone who's huddled under the awning, you need to come out and get into your carts ready for the next one. But meanwhile, Joe Holmes, as you say, Andrew, on his last tour of the circuit and keeping the dream going, isn't he? This will keep him in line if he can get on the money for potentially taking the crown today. If he can get the clean sweep, he will be on for taking the heavyweight title. We say all of this provisionally. It is our maths. It is not official Club 100 scoring, but that's by our mathematics here in the box. As Joe Holmes comes on to the back straight here at Lydd.
And it's been a very Joe Holmes performance. Got himself to the front with little fuss.
Battle for second still going on. Sorry, mate.
Indeed.
Got to keep an eye on that. Brown did get back past Almu, so who's it going to be? But meanwhile, Joe Holmes takes the second win of the day and is one step closer to the dream of wrapping up the championship today. And it's going to be Almu in second. He's got past Brown there on the last lap. And who's he going to be in fourth as well? Kevin Coombs under big pressure here as a round there has gone. Was that that's Josh Pettit, I think, who's gone round in all of that. Indeed, it has. So Steve Lindley finishes sixth. Dan Hollinshead in seventh. But Josh Pettit with a bit of a spin on the last corner there. I can relate to that, Josh, if it's any consolation. Sam Bensley finishes in ninth with Ben Wootton rounding out the top 10. Well done to Dan Hollinshead as well, who Once again, highest placed Class 3 there,
really
having,
good.
I want to say, been towards the back of the grid, even within the Class 3 ranks there. So good drive from him.
Good stuff from the heavyweights. We'll see them back out later for their third rotation of heats. We're going to move back to heavyweights, though. Heavyweight Heat 5, lightweight Heat 5 is next.
Let's take a look at your grid then for Heat 5 in our lightweights. Rogerio Mendez will start this one from pole with Jack O'Neill alongside Mike Coppin and Dan Seeger are row number 2, with Matthew Cockram and Dan Healy on row 3. Steph Theodorou is lining up next with Bryn Olben alongside Ashley White and Ramanas Sakauskas rounding out your top 10. Tim Crowther and Colin Reynolds are on row 6. Row 7 is going to be Joe Ratcliffe and George Lawler. Luke Dunnett and Jagjit Singh round out your 16 kart grid. We will just confirm there's been a few names that haven't taken to the circuit in earlier heats, so that might not be all of that. It might not be a full house there.
Oscar Lancaster, Toby Smith, Steph Theodorou, Colin Reynolds, Sam Salter, Slater, and Fraser Brunton are those not here today. No more practices for drivers. It's straight into racing or grid formation for the start of the race. We are ready. Rogerio Mendez, Jack O'Neill on the outside. Another big race in the story of this lightweights championship. Across the start line they go. Perfectly done by the front row. What's going to happen here in the first, challenged by O'Neill? And in fact, yes, it's that O'Neill has now got through.
Yep.
And another belting start from Mike Coppin. We saw a very impressive race victory for him earlier in the morning. And once again here, Howard, nailing lap 1, is already up to second place.
Yeah, I think Seeger might have gone up as well into third, but we'll look to confirm that when I'm next not looking into a wall of spray. But O'Neill is, as you say, greyhound out of the traps once again. Good start for Dan Healy, though, as well, Andrew, there. I think Seeger has got up to third, but I think Healy's up to fourth as well. So big moves here in the early phases. And indeed, this is Healy challenging Seeger through the puddles and the spray of the back straight. And down the inside goes Healy. And provided he can find enough grip on the inside and perhaps not throw himself out wide with the curb, he's going to hang on to that for third place.
Yeah, really nice move there from Healy. Under control. Knew what he needed to do, where he needed to place the karts. So who's had good starts on that first lap? Ramanas Sakauskas up 4. George Lawler again up 4. Not so good for Rogerio Mendez and Matthew Cockram. And Bryn Elvin as well, all down at least 4 positions on that first lap.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Sakauskas with a good start, as I say, experience from yesterday, having done the and who's out that on the grass coming out of the second? It's Sakauskas. Well, that's your jinx there. There's your commentator's curse. Sorry, Ramanas. As they're turning into horseshoe there, the top 3. Ashley White on the tail of Dan Seeger now. As Sakauskas tried to recover there, you could see him battling away as he's got back onto the circuit.
Down the back straight come the leaders then. And looking for a move on Seeger there is Ashley White.
Yep, I think he's going to get that one done unless Seeger can find some good grip on the slightly wider line. New fastest lap of the race from Jack O'Neill, a 1:03.151. He's seen what Joe Holmes has been doing and fancies some of that himself. Mike Coppin, though, not a million miles off the back. Dan Healy starting to reel in Mike Coppin as well. And they are going through the Parabolica. And already a breakaway group of 3 here, some 3.5 seconds further back to Ashley White. And there is the battle between White, Seeger, and Lawler as well, having another good drive here, Andrew.
Yeah, he
George
is.
Lawler right in the action.
And Tim Crowther as well, quite literally keeping it on the island, has got ahead of a couple of the C2s. There's Ramanas Sakauskas and Bryn Alban fighting over 10th place, karts number 13 and 16. Down the back straight again we go. This Ashley White and Dan Seeger. Seeger back down the inside. Can he hold the inside through this double apex last corner? Yes, he can. That's in fact, no, that's Lawler. Sorry, apologies. That's George Lawler going through into 4th place. This is a remarkable performance from Healy, is also into the 102s. It's a good pace here from the lightweights. Here is 4th, 5th and 6th places. Lawler ahead of White, ahead of Seeger. Roman Strakowski's fighting back as well, trying to get past Rogerio Mendes and Matthew Cockram. Get himself back to place. George Lawler has a bit of a moment through the puddles there. That's going to open the door for Ashley White to go back down the inside. Try to retake 4th place. Get the run. Runs wide though. That's going to be a track limit warning, I'd imagine, for Ashley White. But he has got 4th place now. 2.5 minutes to go. Tchaikovsky's passed Cockram, confirmed. Bryn Albin got past Cockram on that last lap as also. Jagjit Singh, as there's a spinner there. Who is that off? I think it's one of the C3s. It may be Joe Ratcliffe. And indeed, the track limit warning does come in for Ashley White. Same one for Matthew Cockram. Drivers have been told about the curb on driver's left on the exit of the last corner. They're allowed to straddle it, but they're not. This is quite rough there on corner exits to protect the karts. Even in these conditions, you can still have sprocket failures and chain damage if you put the kart in the wrong place, which we don't want. Jack O'Neill leads. Very, very good racecraft from Bryn Albin to work his way up the order. Rogerio Mendes 9th, Matthew Cockram 10th, Jagjit Singh 11th, Luke Dunnett, Tim Krauser and Joe Ratcliffe. That's your 14 runners in heat number 5 for the lightweights. We'll be back shortly for another one. It'll be sprint heat number 6 for the lightweights. Here we go for heat number 6. Tom Dix has pole position. Alongside him on the front row is Cameron Williams. Jed Toole and David Longman are due to start on row number 2 before Thomas Barrett and Stephen Westwood on row number 3. Darren Teal and Tony Philbin are on the 6th row of the grid, first of the novices, and then Sam Morris and Russell Cooper complete the 14-cart field. Hello to Alex Wilmot on the DDMM comms box chat. Blue skies in Guildford. Hopefully blows over to you guys. We hope so indeed. The sheep are enjoying it though.
Yeah, they're fine. They're absolutely fine. Slightly more used to it maybe than we are. But yeah, we'll be at the halfway stage in our lightweights heats at the end of this one. This is heat 6 of 12 in the lightweights. It is 12 heats for lightweights. It is 9 heats in the heavyweights today.
Hello to Mike Philippou, Jack O'Neill for the win. The Titan Motorsport team watching on eagerly at the progress of their driver. Here we go then for heat number 6. Tom Dix will take us from pole position, start at 7 minutes. Cameron Williams challenging to the outside there as they go into turns 1 and 2. And out of it again, Tom Dix has held the lead.
Spin for Sam Morris at the back of that one. Just getting underway again now, but he'll be a little way off the back of the field, and round 2 has gone. Cameron Williams from 2nd place.
Well avoided there by the rest of the field.
Yeah.
That's a tricky place to have a spin, with everyone going full pelt into bus stop number 2, but a good start this for Tom Dix.
Yep, really good start for Dix. I thought he found a good line. I saw out the window through the first chicane. That's the 75 of Jed Toole. Up through the order. We're looking on live time for how far he's managed to get up the field, as there's a contact warning for Stephen Westwood. Onto the back straight comes Daz Till chasing Jed Toole. He's going to surely try down the inside. He's going to be basically ahead before he has to turn in, and that is a nice move there by Daz Till, and it means at the end of the lap 1 that it's Tom Dix in the lead by 2.5 seconds from Daz Till. Jed Toole in 3rd place. Thomas Barrett up well there into 4th place, ahead of David Longman in 5th. Good starts too for Andrew Rabbage, and Reese Pope up to 7th place on that first lap, and good job by Russell Cooper as well, straight to the front of the Class 3 runners on that first lap, up into 10th place.
Yep, very good stuff from driver number 26.
Tom Dix was basically able to do a standard racing lap whilst everyone else was negotiating with each other. A 104.752 is not a bad lap to open things up. Do you know what? I'm just checking my reference puddle. It's barely raining.
I don't believe you.
I'm serious. Look at that. That's a lot less. That's
It's spitting.
yeah. That's the mildest term we've been able to use for the weather all day.
Stephen Westwood down the inside, going for an overtake there.
On Reece Pope.
Yeah.
Reece Pope is trying to follow through, isn't he? In the 42.
This is on the 61 of Andrew Rabbage.
Oh, and Rabbage is putting a bit of drift on there, and that's going to allow Reece Pope through as well. So Westwood up into 6th, and Pope did follow through into 7th. Changes as well in Class 3. Manga ahead of Cooper. And Cameron Williams as well on his recovery. Class 2 driver.
Oh, Westwood round
in
bus stop number 2. We'll just have to see if he received a bit of encouragement there for that one, but that's not good news for Stephen Westwood, who's having a good day up to that point, but is now going to have to fight back to regain those positions.
If you thought that Tom Dix's pace, that is Colin the Cone getting a heavy hit there from Thomas Barrett there on the turning into Horseshoe. Easily done. And I think we're going to see it, yeah.
And that's the thing, you get too much speed, you get on that curb, you go into Tony Hawk pro skater mode, and sadly that is who you meet at the outer reaches of that corner, and poor Colin takes one to the face.
Yeah, Cones were harmed in the making of today's stream. I'm very sorry. Tom Dix, if you thought his initial pace was a flash in the pan, a 103, in fact 103 to the last 2 laps, he just keeps on besting the best lap of the race, means that he's full. So has really taken this one by the scruff of the neck, has Tom Dix. Sam Morris had that spin at the first chicane, just got past Kalvinski at the back of the field.
Alex Wilmot asks a good question that I'm going to throw over to you, sir.
Oh, gosh.
What changes to driving style are needed here in the wet? Slow application of the go pedal? No, I'd say the opposite.
It's so weird because you want to initiate... You basically want to initiate a drift in order to encourage the turn-in, as Reece Pope here is going by David Longman. This is for 4th place. Big move for Pope here. And he manages to make that... Initiate the slide, initiate the turn-in, and then you balance it with the brake.
Yes.
He's basically doing a controlled drift to get the turn-in to the corners, particularly at the 2 chicanes here.
Yeah.
If you just turn in and keep like a bit of throttle going...
You just understeer.
You just understeer. There is an element to that in the wet. There is always this thing of always try and keep some power going. I always used to use the analogy of I've used so many analogies in the past. Outboard motors on boats, like a rocket always needs some power to steer in a direction, all those sorts of things.
Yep.
You do often talk about that, and on the long corners, such as the parabolica at the bottom of the circuit, that is going to be the rule. Keep some power going, carefully apply it as you come out, feel the grip. But to get turning, you actually want to initiate a spin with a short, sharp stab of power and a short, sharp steering input to get that going.
So that's why you see, as to say, Reece Pope, that's a great example of it there. You can see him hacking at the front with the steering wheel to get those front tyres and the chassis working.
And it's kind of counterintuitive as well, because when you're watching film and TV, never mind that, actually, drift championships, how do they initiate it? It's with applying brakes and handbrake and locking up axles and all that sort of stuff. Not so here. You want to apply the power to initiate the slide. If you apply the brake, you'll actually deter the slide that you need to get that turn in. Make the front of the kart work for you and then start to control it.
Stephen Westwood's fighting back, gained 2 positions on that last lap, past Thomas Barrett and Tony Philbin. We are on lap number 6, penultimate lap of the race, and here comes Reece Pope again, trying to get back down the inside of Jed Toole. Takes 3rd place. Can he get it stopped into the horseshoe? That's really nicely done by Reece Pope.
And you can see them, just as a demonstration, you can see them hacking away at the steering there. They're trying to get some turn in, and they're doing the power on. And it's on corner exit where you need to be careful with applying the throttle. But to corner entry, you got to go bold. On to the last lap then is Tom Dix. He's being merciful. He's gone into the 104s. And actually, that does mean he's lost a second to Daz Teal on that last lap pace underneath him.
And this is good response from Daz Teal in terms of pace. We saw him under a bit of pressure in his first heat, held on for the win, but was definitely needed to think about where he was losing time relative to the other drivers. To see him here in the low 103s, that's good pace here today. But we are on the last lap. There is Reece Pope now pulling away from Jed Toole in the battle for 3rd place. David Longman looking at good points again there in 5th. But Tom Dix, just looking back, it's going to be a 5th win of the season in only his 6th round. Another driver very much on form, using all of the experience over those years. And there he is, takes the race victory in heat number 6. A very good result for Tom Dix. Daz Teal continues the great form that he's on, finishes in second. Reese Pope, some great overtakes, finishes third and top of the C2s. Jed Toole in fourth, David Longman fifth. Andrew Rabbage, good response after his difficult first heat, finishes in sixth. Stephen Westwood fights back to seventh. Thomas Barrett, Tony Philbin, and then Rizwan Mangat will be next up, although let's just confirm that as it comes over the line. There it is, Mangat wins in C3. Russell Cooper, Cameron Williams, Sam Morris and Gachan Kalvinsky. That was your 14 runners there for heat 6. We're going to take another short break. Next up, lightweight sprint heat number 7.
Let's take you through the grid then for heat number 7 in your lightweights. Ned Douglas will start this one from pole with Josh Adams alongside Rhianna Percox, and Rob Langthorpe are your second row with James Wattis and Sam Slater on 3. Row 4 is going to be Garrett Berry and Alistair Irving with Ed Bars and Ross O'Brien Ryan out the top 10. James Dunnett and Amy Breacher are row 6. Row 7 of this 14 kart grid will be James Browning and Dean Everest. So into the second half of the heats here within the lightweights. We've got 7 and 8 of the lightweights. Then we'll be going back over to our heavyweights. And that don't let those shots deceive you. Those are the... I did a double take then, but that's the shots from yesterday. This is today. This is live. Here are the conditions that these drivers are having to deal with.
Quite an open heat to feel, this one. Even with Ed Bars starting back in 9th place. Difficult to call who's going to win this one.
No, good point. Ned Douglas was doing some good defensive driving in his earlier heat as well, so this could be an interesting one, as you say. Josh Adams, I think, is going to be one to watch as well, starting there on second. Here we go then for heat number 7. Ned Douglas will lead them away into the first chicane as they get the brakes on for the first half. Picked up a little bit again for what it's worth. There's a bit of bumping and barging there, but they're all facing the right way, and there is a move for the lead. And is that Wattis? I think that's a great start for James Wattis. Up into the lead there. Ned Douglas is going to come back at him, though, into the Parabolica, but Wattis is going to have that outside line that has served so many so well. Josh Adams is there in third, looking to pick up the pieces if they present himself. But great start there for James Wattis.
Yeah, and he needs this because the result in the first heat for James Wattis wasn't the best.
Garrett Berry as well, trying to make early moves here. Had good pace earlier, Andrew, but had a penalty as well, which lost him some crucial points. As Rhianna Percox is trying to get past Ned Douglas. This is a repeat of a battle that we did see in their earlier heat. You've got Garrett Berry in the mix there as well. And is it Sam Slater who's involved as well?
Sam Slater's not in this race.
Good point.
DNS.
Sorry. Good point. It was actually the 60 of Garrett Berry who I was looking at. So it is Wattis in the lead. Josh Adams in second. Rhianna Percox, Ed Bars, Rob Langthorpe, and then Ned Douglas.
Oh, my goodness. John is not in shorts. There he is.
That's how bad it is, folks. That is how bad it is.
The Scotsman has put some trousers on. James Wattis leads the race then. Josh Adams, second place. And Rhianna Percox, though, is up the inside, going for that second place. I think she's got it. And Ed Bars is on the scene as well. This is a big race for Ed Bars. Needs to respond back to the results that Jack O'Neill's put in so far today. Track limit warning for the number 9. There in third place.
Yeah, we've seen some good moves already today from Rhianna in that Parabolica. She's under pressure, though, from Adams and Bars as they come onto the back straight. Or is she? Good drive onto the back straight there. If she can avoid the puddles, she'll be laughing. Albeit that is impossible in these conditions, but she cannot but try.
It's the puddles anyway.
Yeah, true.
The madness of the situation.
Ed Bars on Josh Adams. Is he able to find drive out the corner? No, I think Adams is going to hang on to it round the outside. Good defensive driving from Adams. Not what we usually say when someone goes around the outside of a corner. Dropping down the order, though, Garrett Berry. Some dramas befallen him out there. He has crossed the line, so he's circulating, but clearly an issue there for Garrett Berry. Again, not the optimal that he's able. His pace is undermined slightly by his results so far with the penalty in the earlier heat, and now some dramas hitting there. So he might be one to watch, Andrew, when we get onto our finals later, and we start talking about repêchages. as they're called in the regs. That will be perhaps a name that we'll be looking out for. Rihanna Percock's fastest lap of the race so far, a 104.3. Gonna need it if she's going to get on to terms with James Wattis. Really impressive drive so far. The Class 2 driver in the 103. There is Alistair Irving. The next place, Class 2, down in 6th place. So, brilliant stuff here from Wattis.
Going again now, he's come over in 4th, but lost the lead. Percox has got ahead. I think, we mentioned Garrett Berry's problem. He has now set the fastest lap of the heat so far. So, change at the front, contacts warning for Ed Bars, the number 1. And here comes Josh Adams again, back at Rihanna Percox. I just wonder, was Rihanna held up slightly by whatever was happening with James on the last corner? Ed Bars looking down the inside for 2nd place now on Josh Adams. Through the spray they go.
Who can find the grip? This is brilliant stuff amongst the top 3. And there goes Adams down the inside on the turn into the horseshoe. Can he hold it on there? Or is Rihanna going to find better grip out on the slightly wider line? Coming onto the back straight now. It's Josh Adams in the lead for now. Is he going to make it to the start-finish line in the lead, though? So it could be confirmed as a change in the lead. No, Percox is down the inside of the final corner. And provided she can find the grip and shut the door on Adams, which she duly does, and Ed Bars is still looking to suck under Adams there, and he's got the job done. He's ahead by a whisker as they come on to lap number 5. And Rob Langthorpe's coming to play as well. Alistair Irving, meanwhile, has got past James Wattis. So change for the highest position Class 2 runner as well. More valuable points for Irving there as our lead battle, of which Irving has caught up to the back of here. It's basically a breakaway group of 5 now, as they all go through the Parabolica. And, Wattis as well, running there in 6th. He's dusted himself off. He might come back into this as well when all is said and done. No. Very wide line from Adams, and he's just got out onto the dirt and the muck there. A little tag down in 5th, at least there.
That'll be a cone penalty as well for Josh Adams, unfortunately. 2 minutes to go. Percox and Bars clear now of the rest of the field. Here comes Bars, has a go. It's good. And even in these conditions, there's some merit to working with another driver to isolate them for later in the race. James Wattis. Having said that, Wattis has got a good gap over James Dunnett behind, so he's quite safe there in 6th place. But here comes Ed Bars. Good drive out of the horseshoe. He's got the inside line. Was better on the brakes last time around. Can he get it shut down? Bit of a tag there from Rihanna Percox on the rear bumper, but Ed Bars will have the speed off the corner. Takes the lead as they go on to the last lap.
Yeah, brilliant stuff there. It's firm but fair. When you get alongside a driver like that, there's that standing water on the left-hand side of that back straight, and if you're on the outside, you kind of get forced into it. It's harsh, but all is fair in Love and Racing on that particular occasion. It just allows Ed Bars to have the better entry into the final corner. Crucial for him. Alistair Irving, no, he's not, but he's hounding the back of Rob Langthorpe now. As they head up again, is Rihanna going to have a look? She is. Great drive off of the Parabolica. Rihanna Percox goes for it into the horseshoe, holds the drift. What a move from Percox, taking the lead back again as they head on to the back straight for the final time.
What a move that was indeed from Rihanna Percox, but this is where Ed Bar's been quick. The gap is good, though.
Yeah, he's too far back.
Rihanna Percox can get it done into the last 2 corners. This is going to be a 4th win in the heats this season for Rihanna Percox. Round the final corner and a big haul of points for Rihanna Percox. Ed Bars is 2nd in a race I feel he really needed to win there for the title challenge. Josh Adams impressive again there in 3rd. Rob Langthorpe 4th. Alistair Irving top C2 there in 5th. James Wattis in 6th. Garrett Berry 7th.
Good
Ned
recovery.
Douglas, from Berry. Ned Douglas in 8th. Top C3 was Amy Breacher in 9th. James Dunnett 10th. Dean Everest, James Browning and Ross O'Brien there in the number 23. Complete the runners who were in that race. That's heat number 7 done. We are swiftly moving on in a few moments' time to the last heat of rotation number 2 for the lightweights. It will be heat 8.
Let's take a look at your grid then for heat number 8. Dante Dillon will lead this one away with Christopher Powell alongside. Jason Bradbury and Oscar Lancaster are on row number 2 with Angus Waddle and Steve Hicks on row number 3. Row 4 will be Keith Segal and Callum Brule. Peter Knight and Greg Smith round out your top 10 with Andy Berry and Sam Essery on row 6. Row 7 will be Atava Desai with Toby Smith alongside Aaron Stillwell and Justin Draper. Round out your 16 kart. It's going to be an interesting one, this one.
Yeah, Greg Smith's gone for a bit of a spin there.
That's the time to do it.
Again.
Well, it isn't actually. There are some rules about if you spin out or rolling up. So it's distinctly not so much the time to do it, but he's not fallen too far off the back, thankfully. So,
Chris Powell, back for his first round since round 6. Had a strong run in his first race earlier. Dante Dillon put in some good overtakes as well in his first appearance.
Well, didn't Steve Hicks drop it down a bit on the last lap of his previous heat as well? So he might be looking to get a bit of a better score in this one. So a few narratives to be keeping an eye on here. As away we go for heat number 8 of the lightweights. Dante Dillon leads them towards the first chicane. Are they all through cleanly? We've got one spinner I could just see off the back. We'll try and look at who that was. Didn't catch the number as they go through. There they are. You can just see them on the shot there. But it is Dante Dillon still at the head of the field. Looks like it might have been a good start. It looks like the top three stayed of the hour. I think it's still Dillon, Powell and Bradbury. I think Hicks might have had a strong start as they work their way through the Parabolica. And back up the hill.
Good start for Callum Brewell there.
Yep.
In the red suit and the yellow helmets.
Oh, looks like Jason Bradbury's dropping down the order there quite a bit. I think he may have got out of shape at some point as they come back onto the back straight, as you say, Andrew. Callum Brewell, and there's a penalty for Jason Bradbury, and that is for an ABC take-out. So who did he take out is the question off the back of that, because I thought it was a spinner at the first chicane. We'll keep an eye on it as they come across the line for the first time.
Powell leads from Hicks. Is it Dante
Dillon? Oh, it's Dillon. He took out Dante Dillon.
Wow. So Powell from Hicks, Knight, Essery, Brewell, Waddle, Greg Smith, and then Jason Bradbury. That's a +6 penalty for Jason Bradbury.
Andy Berry was your spinner at the first chicane, afraid to report, but he is back circulating now. Just got a bit of a recovery drive to get on with here. Sam Essery, Andrew, Class 3 runner, up to 4th place.
Yeah, so for Samuel Essery, even before we get to the finals, he didn't need to gain too many more points over the rest of the C3 field in this lightweights class at the start of the day, and is doing an absolutely exemplary job here in kart number 107. Was there a spinner I just saw there on the exit? Yes, there was. Someone deep in a tyre wall at bus stop number 2.
I think it's Keith Segal.
It's Keith Segal in number 58.
I think I also spied Waddle getting by on Brewell as well into the horseshoe, so I think there's been a change for 5th place.
As off there is... Oh, that's Essery. So Samuel Essery is off. And he's in the bark now, and that is a difficult place to recover the kart from.
Yeah.
There's the bark drops away beyond the curb there. It's not just a simple case of push it out, because you've got to get it over the backside of the curb.
And I've got to say here, Andrew, this is a little bit of... I mean, he is one of our Class 3 novice drivers. This is a little bit of... You've joined... Just a little bit. You've joined Club 100 since we moved to the Rotax Evo karts.
Down the inside, Peter Knight there on Steve Hicks goes for the lead. Sorry, Howard.
No, that's fine. When you're in the bark like that, pick up the front.
Yeah.
Pick up the front, drag it back on. Don't try and push it from behind the seat. Anyone who's driving Club 100 in the clutch this days knows just take the hit, get out the cart, pick it up. And Sam Essery, that's an unfortunate moment for him. I suppose the consolation is he has shown very good pace.
Yeah, and he's got scores in his back pocket that can be used here. This will end up as a drop before recovered, so he's lost a lap.
Yeah.
Keith Segal has also got going again, but lost a lap himself, or pretty much a lap. Track limit warnings for Essery and Desai. So Aaron Stillwell comes back to the front in C3, denoted there by the blue number boards. Peter Knight, well, we saw him burst onto the Club 100 scene in this mains championship in the sprints just over 12 months ago, coming from the Young Drivers Championship. Details of that for 2022 coming later in the stream. And I can't remember seeing Peter Knight in the wet before, but clearly skills transferable. He's doing a great job at the front of the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant driving here. As over the crest here comes a battle between Aaron Stillwell and Justin Draper. This is for the highest place, Class 3, and Draper's going to go down the inside. Is Stillwell going to find better grip round the left-hander of the horseshoe? As you can see, the wind's picked up again here at Lydd. In fact, I'm just going to note the fact, by the way, I think the Club 100 crew have seen fit to remove all the
They've
banners.
taken them down.
That's probably a good call.
There's Callum Brewell having another strong run here. Is up to 4th place. He's got past Christopher Powell. And is in the 104s. Angus Waddle is currently the fastest driver out there. 64.345 last time around. Brewell, though, did get a track limit warning there at the last corner.
Sorry, mate. Draper is past Stillwell, so good little battle going on there with Class 3. I think that one will carry on. As down at the Parabolica. Honest. We are definitely down there. All still taking a very wide line there to get themselves the best drive, apparently through a puddle and up the hill. I don't know how it works, but they're making it work.
2 minutes of the race to go. Here on lap 5, it'll be 7 laps once more.
I will say this, the rain has almost completely stopped now. We are just on to windy conditions. Yeah. My reference puddle looks the calmest of it has all day.
And one of the advantages of being down there, in fact, that's a change for the lead, isn't it? Steve Hicks has got back ahead of Peter Knight as Waddle joins the fun. It's always fairly windy here anyway because we are so close to the sea. This track does, I feel daft using the word dry, but that's what I'm going with, does dry fairly quickly. We even saw that yesterday after the treacherous conditions in the morning. So we'll keep an eye on the lap times because they could change very quickly. What's happening there? Is that Simon Lessery just pulling? Yeah, it's Keith Segal pulling over to one side as he goes a lap down. Yeah, you can see how wet offline it is already. Steve Hicks back into the lead though, ahead of Peter Knight. There's plus one more to go. And everybody's in there. I think Powell and Brewell have caught back up to this.
Well, Powell's got good pace. Very good pace at the moment, hasn't he? As has Waddle.
Dante Dillon has recovered his way past all of the C3s. Another one of our British indoor karting champion winners. Racing in Club 100 this season with Team Sports. First step on the karting pathway from Motorsport UK. Last lap board is out then. Hicks, the lead is 0.4 of a second over Peter Knight. Angus Waddle showing good pace again there in third.
Absolutely. Been a good battle at the front this between Hicks and Knight through the bottom of the circuit.
Sam Essery, by the way, has pulled off circuit, so it's effectively a retirement there.
Waddle,
look at Waddle trying to get past Peter Knight there. Steve Hicks is in a good spot now, though. Needed this after the first race didn't go his way. It's down the back straight now. 2 more apexes to navigate. And Steve Hicks is going to take a good victory here in heat number 8 and get this one just as the lightweights close out their second rotation. Big points for Steve Hicks there in heat 8. Takes the victory. Peter Knight P2. Angus Waddle 3rd. Great lap at the end there from Christopher Powell. Finishes in 4th. Callum Brewell solid there in 5th ahead of Greg Smith, Jason Bradbury, Dante Dillon. Justin Draper is the top of the C3s in 9th. And it'll be Stillwell, Desai, Berry, Segal, Essery, your order for heat number 8. That's the second rotation of heats completed. We're going to go back to the heavyweights. And heat number 7 is next up for them.
Let's take you through the grid then as we turn back to the heavyweights for their third rotation within the heats. Simon Kavanagh will lead this one from pole. Richard Masterson alongside Anwar Burrell-Smith and Steve Bosley are your second row. Lewis Ridd and Jordan Salter are on row 3. Row 4 will be Alex Pritchard and Mike Bodner, who I feel they've been starting next to each other all day long, and they'll continue with that. Matt Wildman and George Boothby on row number 5. Callan Sigafus and Andrew Cherry on row number 6. Cherry will be looking for a slightly better one than the last heat after an incident on the first lap. Stephen Hullock and Matt Batter are row 7. Row 8 will be Jaden Cadigan and Tom Stalker, and Matt Griffiths rounds out the 17 kart grid. For heat number 7 of round 10 of the Heavyweights and Super Heavyweight Sprint Championship in Club 100 for 2021, your coverage here provided by Alpha Live with commentating courtesy of Double Dash Motorsport Media. That is myself, Howard Mitchell, and Andrew Mather. Do hope you're enjoying it. Please like, share and subscribe. And there's even a comms box cam that you can check out on the Double Dash channel as well, if you so choose. All big imbalance here between the pole and the anti-pole side of the grid. Kavanagh's going to go take them away, but it's Christmas come early for Burrell Smith and Lewis Ridd, because they're going to benefit massively here through the first chicane. The one saving grace is that did mean that people were less bunched up in through the first chicane, so there's been no incidents there.
Yep.
But yeah, very uneven start there. I think Masterson maybe caught a little bit napping in hindsight there on the start, or just couldn't find the grip maybe on the outer part there, as they all head through the parabolica for the first time. We've got someone round there. I think that might have been Andrew
29?
Cherry. What number did you see?
Richard Masterson.
Okay, fair enough. 29, it is Masterson. There you go. So, bad start through the race for Masterson. Unfortunately, he's got a bit of a recovery there. And sorry, Andrew Cherry fans. He's fine.
He's all good.
He's all good.
This is, of course, the last heat for all of these drivers. Last chance for them to get points to set the grid for the final. And DW Media, our statsman for the day, sums a point in terms of how it all works in the drop scores. That's another point into the advantage of Joe Holmes in his quest to wrap up the title today. And
just to confirm, Burrell Smith did get by on Simon Kavanagh, our pole sitter, on that first lap and opened up the bidding with a 105.9, which for the first lap is not too shabby. Alex Pritchard there, I think, putting in a move on Steve Bosley, I think I can see there, coming out of the second chicane. And Matt Warman, Andrew, another man who could do with making a move here as well to offset Burrell Smith.
Yeah, they're still fighting over second place as well, of course. So Anwar is both attacking and defending his championship position in the standings at the same time. 5 minutes and 30 on the clock. Hello to Nathan Maximin, who's got in touch with us here on the DDMM comms box cam. And Carol Smith as well, who's cheering on Greg Smith in the last race. Keep your comments coming in. There's Ridd going down the inside of Bosley.
There's a few changes on this lap, Andrew. I think Pritchard's up to second and Warman up to third. They've both had a stellar lap.
Yeah.
So it's Burrell Smith, Pritchard, Warman. Then it's Lewis Ridd. Steve Bosley's in fifth. It's been a costly lap, I'm afraid to report, for fans of Simon Kavanagh, down to 7th place in all of that. There is a contact warning for Alex Pritchard, but he has done very well, and he set the fastest lap of the race to boot as well. In fact, we need to keep an eye here, because as much as I said Anwar had a good opening lap, his speed relative to Alex Pritchard, Andrew, is not all that. So the lead gap is something we really need to keep an eye on here, unless Burrell Smith can find a turn of pace.
And as Alex Pritchard has emerged in each of the rotations so far, because he's been in race 1 and he's been in race 4, or heat 1 or heat 4, I should say. You know, he has had the best pace of any of the heavyweights up to that point. He's been the one breaking into the 103s, the 102s for the first time. So he has had a very... Look, there you go. His pace is brilliant today. This is fantastic stuff from Alex Pritchard, and he's really putting Anwar Burrell Smith under a lot of pressure here. Matt Wildman, though, is the fastest driver out there at the moment. 62.808 last time around.
Yeah, and to be honest, mate, all of the top three could really do with this win.
Yep.
Who couldn't do with a win? It is motorsport at the end of the day, but all these three, Pritchard, a big factor in that
yellow
class
flag
2
out
battle.
Into turn 1. No need for the marshal to wait it today.
Cut off massively, Andrew, into the wood chippings. I can see out the window here.
Yeah, you can see it on the screen now.
Oh, yes.
The bottom right. We'll just try and track who it is in a moment and see who falls down the order. But Anwar Burrell Smith, contact warning for Anwar Burrell Smith with Alex Pritchard. So it's getting a bit feisty out there. And there's Matt Wildman on the tail of Alex Pritchard now as well. Will Wildman go for the move into the last corner? Thinks about it. Thinks better of it. Alex Pritchard with a slightly different line to Anwar Burrell Smith on the initial entry. This has got all the ingredients for a very interesting last 3 minutes of this race. Who is falling down the order? We've not seen it yet as to who it is. Who is that spinner down at turn 1? I think it's Andrew Cherry. Andrew Cherry. Yes, it is Andrew Cherry. He's fallen down the order. In fact, Matt Griffiths
I think it was Matt Griffiths who was out actually on the first chicane. But yeah, there has been a drama for Andrew Cherry as well, so perhaps involved in whatever went on down there.
Wildman down the inside of Pritchard, going into the horseshoe. He's got it done. And there's a bit of a resignation to that moment there for Alex Pritchard. As Wildman takes second place, Anwar Barul-Smith will like that as well because it means he's got a bit of a gap, but the gap's gone. Here comes Matt Wildman. Look at the speed down the back straight. Anwar blocks the move going into the final corner. Can he get it title anymore with the way that these first few heats have gone? And look at that, a 62.334 from Wildman.
Wow.
So Wildman now knows this is all about second place in the title. Can I wrestle it off Anwar Barul-Smith? The best way to do so is to beat him here in this race.
Bit of housekeeping. Andrew Cherry it was who was in the Bart Chippings, but Matt Griffiths was also involved in it all.
Yep.
They are both now circulating again. But yeah, this is great stuff here from Matt Wildman. About the third time I think we've seen this battle today between Barul-Smith and Wildman as well. That's just the way that the allocation to heats has fallen today. All drivers have the same average grid slot, and as you can possibly tell from that shot as well, Andrew, the rain's back.
Yep.
You know,
it's back with a vengeance.
Isn't that nice? We haven't seen much rain this weekend.
No.
Have you noticed? So that's good to see. Look at this though, Wildman on the outside this time, but surely Barul-Smith will just at least match him on brakes and just hang him out to not be so dry there. But Wildman gets good drive off the corner. What a brilliant drive off that final corner. And as they go on to the last lap, Matt Wildman is in the lead of the race.
This is great stuff from Matt Wildman. This is the kind of driving that we saw. It's been a very, very good year for Matt Wildman in the sprints. Mike Bodner's had a problem that last lap, lost 6 seconds, is going again, but is now down to 9th place as well, because Wildman is taking points away from his title rival. Down the back, coming out of the Parabolica and into Pritchard's down the inside of Barul-Smith here, takes second place.
Yeah, Wildman's not got much
really,
to worry about.
really getting close now for Anwar Barul-Smith. His title hopes are hanging by a thread, I feel, at this moment here in heat number 7, but Matt Wildman down the back straight. Here he comes. He's had to fight for this one. He's going to come through the last corner. Alex Pritchard showing great pace. He's going to have a good grid position in the final. Matt Wildman takes heat number 7 in the heavyweights. Second for Alex Pritchard, top of the C2s. Anwar Barul-Smith in third. Steve Bosley fourth. That should see Steve into the A final, I imagine. Lewis Ridd in fifth. Jordan Salter sixth. Callan Sigafoos there in seventh. Good results for Callan. Simon Kavanagh in 8th ahead of Mike Bodner. And then your top C3 coming around the final corner now should be Matthew Batter through the gloom. Yes, it is Matthew Batter in number 46. Takes 10th place ahead of Jaden Cadogan, who made some good progress in that race. Tom Stalker, Stephen Hullock, Richard Masterson after the spin on that one. And then Matt Griffiths will be last of those on the lead lap. Andrew Cherry 1 lap down.
Well, the man sat outside my window is called Joe Holmes, and I think he might be quite happy off the back of that, because he's about to head out for our next race for you here on the stream. Heavyweight, Super Heavyweight Sprint Heat number 8. Here's your grid then for Heat 8. Tim Hill will be looking for a good one from pole position here with Kieran Chigsey, who's shown very well so far today, starting alongside Richard Newton, and Mikey Nichols will be on the second row with Miguel Hall and Alindo Venturi on row number 3. Row 4 will be Paul Williams, who really be looking for a good one here. Had a difficult day so far. Paul Jameson alongside Tom Fuller and Tim Williams round out your top 10. David Jarvis and Tarek Almu are on row number 6. Joe Holmes and Christian Hoos are your 7th row with Lawrence Cheer and David Wilson on 8. Benjamin Wotton and Daniel Hollinshead round out your 18 karts running in this one. Making it the lower grid position of the heats for Joe Holmes. So we've been talking about how he needs a clean sweep. This is going to be the hardest one. But you know what? Not only has the rain picked up, the wind's picked up as well. The conditions, as you can see it here on this shot, demonstrates it so well. The rippling waves of rain pelting the circuit once again. We've had a let-up of about 20 minutes of no rain, and now it's bucketing it down once again out there. So tricky conditions here, albeit actually probably matching roughly what they last raced in, bizarrely. But here we go for heat number 8. They're away. And I'm not 100% sure. I saw... Oh, no. Yeah. Is in the pound seats as they come through the first chicane. I can't see any spinners out the window as they come into the second chicane. It looks like it is Chigsey leading Miguel Hall has got himself up into second place. Round the Parabolica for the first time. It looks like I could see Joe Holmes there putting a move on Paul Williams in the Parabolica, so that would mean that already there's been some moves there as the 64 of Mikey Nichols tries to put a move on Richard Newton for third as they come into the horseshoe for the first time. Out there, once again, you can see how the visibility is worsened on your shot here. We haven't just put a romantic mist filter on the shot, I promise you that. As they head down towards the final corner. And is that... who have we got putting a move on there? That's Tom Fuller, isn't it? Yep, trying to put in a move. So at the end of the first lap, it is Kieran Chigsey ahead of Joe Holmes through, because they started on the same row, if memory serves correct, up into 6th place. Brilliant start there for the number 133. Cone penalty for David Jarvis. Tom Fuller comes under attack from Joe Holmes, who's also got past, already got past Richard Newton on this lap. Battle going on there, I think, between David Jarvis and Paul Williams. Something happened to Miguel Hall on that last lap, though. He did fall down the order by some 7 positions, so Hall has had a bit of an issue out there. Joe Holmes, though, has cleared Tom Fuller now. So that is Holmes up into 3rd place, I believe. Chigsey leads. Mikey Nichols some 1.7 seconds behind, and then 1.3 seconds further back is Joe Holmes, now in pursuit of 2nd place. Tom Fuller down to 4th. Tarek Almu now on the move as well, up into 5th place. Got past Newton and Cheer on that last lap. Into the 2nd bus stop chicane then goes the front of the field. Chigsey doing well here and had a very good showing earlier on today as they go almost 3 wide through the Parabolica there. I think that was a battle between David Jarvis, Paul Williams and Miguel Hall. Here it is coming into shot there. Paul Williams side by side there with Daniel Hollinshead. So it means Miguel Hall has cleared Paul Williams there in the first half of this lap as the rain continues to bucket down once again. Here's Miguel Hall though, down the inside, I believe, of David Jarvis there. A little bit difficult to tell in the spray, if I'm honest. It was Lawrence Cheer that he was going by on, because David Jarvis has managed to stay ahead of him. Battle for 2nd place though. Mikey Nichols has been caught by Joe Holmes. Joe Holmes is going to be looking for an opportunity. They come back up the circuit here. If you can get good exit out off of the Parabolica, what can Nichols present in the form of a defence? Joe Holmes down the inside on the turn-in into the horseshoe and gets the job done. Gosh, he holds the car very well there into the horseshoe. You can see how much more standing water has built up onto that part of the lap, but it is Holmes up into 2nd place, and next target down the road will be Kieran Chigsey.
So here's what the spreadsheet of doom, Club 100 Sprints Edition, is telling us at the moment, and we'll stress that this is provisional. If Joe Holmes wins this heat and then wins the final, that is it. He would be champion. The best that Anwar would be able to get would be a tie on points, at which point we go into a tiebreaker, and it's a tiebreaker that Anwar would not be able to overcome. For, you know, even if he took a clean sweep at Bayford Meadows. So that is what's key for this one now. Joe Holmes is almost giving himself match points if he can win in this race. He's just got to get past Kieran Chigsey to take the lead, and he's going to do that now. A beautiful move down the inside into the horseshoe. Joe Holmes back to the front.
Yep. Joe Holmes in a position that he's spent a lot of time in today. Took slightly longer to get there in this one. Starting as he was from his lowest grid position of the heats. Kieran Chigsey, though, coming back at him, Andrew, has the run down the back straight, and he's going for it on the inside, but I think he's going to squirrel out wide. Joe Holmes will be squeezed onto the apex here, but he's going to hold on to it. But fair play to Chigsey. I appreciate that. Who cares who you're fighting with? Go for it. And he's been driving so well today, has Chigsey. That no, I doff my cap to you on that one, sir. Can he stay with Joe Holmes now that Holmes has got by? Holmes' pace, his best lap so far was a 102.069, which, considering the conditions by my measure, have worsened, or at least had worsened for the start of this race, mate. That was a good time when he set it.
And this is the thing for Kieran Chigsey. He's got a good chance here of moving up the order in super heavyweights. And it's good. I mean, we had it yesterday, a bad result, but driving in these conditions, you don't always get to do it. It's good practice. Yeah, there's no guarantee that we'll have these kind of conditions again at Bayford Meadows in a few weeks' time. And, he's picking up big points with no Bill Taylor here today.
Yep.
Your super heavyweight leader going into today's racing. And this is a very, very good move from Kieran Chigsey. Could be a late dash for a super heavyweight major trophy at the end of the year. We are on the last lap, though. Joe Holmes leads by a second ahead of Kieran Chigsey.
I did just want to say a point, though, on the super heavies, mate. Obviously, there's a general feeling that the rain, the wet conditions can negate some of the disadvantage that you have at the heavyweight drive. But I still want to say, I want to register how impressed I am with some of our super heavyweight drivers today. I don't think that's explained all of it. I think they really have been driving very well in these conditions. I think some of it is some genuine wet weather skill. It's not all just, it eliminates some of the difference because of the weight. I think it's more than that. I think some of these drivers are really showing some skills in the wet conditions.
So Joe Holmes comes out of the horseshoe for the final time in this 8th heat for the heavyweights. There'll be one more after this one, but the key news here at Lydd is Joe Holmes is moving himself one step closer to the 2021 heavyweight sprint title. He will most likely start the final from pole position as an account of taking 3 heat victories so far here today at Lydd. A great drive for Kieran Chigsey in 2nd place, 3rd place for Mikey Nichols, 4th for Tariq Almu. Rest of them coming over the line as the checkered flag is out. Don't worry, timing's just having a bit of a moment, but the race has concluded. Rest of the field coming over the line. There goes Daniel Holinshed. I think that's another C3 win for Daniel Holinshed. But Joe Holmes, well, we've been talking about it all day that he needs to take the clean sweep to wrap up the title, and he's on course for doing just that. We're going to take a short break. Heat 9 for the heavyweights is out next.
Let's take you through the grid then for heat number 9. Jason Bear and Steve Lindley are your front row on this one. Chris Alcock and Josh Pettit are row number 2 with Chris Kirk and Richard Allen on row number 3. Row 4 will be Kevin Coombs and Lee Henderson. Matthew Mandapira and Adam Wright rounding out your top 10. Craig Brown and Joel Arguelles are on row 6. Row 7 will be Anthony Ridd and Frankie Bennett. Andrew Hicks and Samuel Bensley are row number 8. Row 9 will be Bradley Porter and Martin Robinson. And then it will be Luke Elliott on row number 10 to round out your 19 karts, which I want to say is 19 karts is the biggest field that we've gotten up to here today. Last opportunity for these drivers. Final heat in the heavyweights and the 3rd heat that each of these drivers will have contested.
Big race for C2 as well. Alex Pritchard, we've mentioned how well he's been going well today, but Richard Allen in this one, we're looking to secure a good grid position for the final. Rain still falling here. You can see how much the water behind in the land here at Lydd.
We are good for the start. It could be interesting to see how Chris Alcock has got to fancy his chances in this, as has Richard Allen, I would have thought. Going to be an interesting one, this. Away we go then for heat number 9. Jason Bear leads them away towards the first chicane. And do they all get through cleanly there? I can see out the window that they do all get out cleanly as they head towards...
Bear wide.
Yep, and that's going to give the opportunity to Alcock. And indeed it is. Chris Alcock, you can't miss him. He's
brightest man in the paddock today.
I almost feel like saying Chris Alcock, he's the one you can see at certain points around here at the moment. As they go through the parabolica, and Richard Allen as well has got to the forefront there, taking a slightly tighter line there through the parabolica. Having a look to move up into 3rd place there against Josh Pettit, I think it is. He's trying to put a move in on there.
I asked Mike Coppin a question during the endurance yesterday, whilst Chris was out on circuit. Is that the brightest wetsuit in the world? And he said, yes, it is. And he looks particularly ridiculous as it matches his helmet. So I was like, oh, It doesn't matter if you look ridiculous if you're at the front of the field.
I'd have thought the coordination's,
like
nothing
it.
wrong with that. The rain stopped. There's your
No.
weather update. It has. It stopped again. Don't worry. I'm sure it'll be back. Chris Alcock leads. Richard Allen in second. Josh Pettit has held off Adam Wright so far, although I think they were... it is still Pettit who's holding on well here to third place. Meanwhile, Richard Allen hounds Chris Alcock as they go into the horseshoe. Craig Brown there trying to put in a move on Anthony Ridd, but hasn't been able to make it stick thus far.
Lee Henderson's had a decent start there in 7th, as you mentioned. Can he sneak onto the back of an A final grid? I just wonder. Of the last corner. 4 minutes 50 to go. New fastest lap of the heat so far. Richard Allen on a 63.469. There's change.
Place. That is
Yes,
the
he has.
47 of Steve Lindley, now
he's ahead
past
of
Josh
170.
Pettit. And have we covered the fact that Adam Wright's dropped massively down the order?
Yeah, and this is starting to be a difficult day. There's a takeout penalty for Kevin Coombs in all of this, and I wonder if that is
That might be on Mandapira, mightn't it?
yeah, because Adam Wright, I think his chances of going one better than last year and taking second place in the championship mathematically for 2021 are pretty much done. As Craig Brown looking down the inside there of Anthony Ridd.
Yeah, he's been trying to
Gets
make that
done on
move.
the exit.
Yeah, been trying to make that move for a while now, and I think he's just about going to make it stick. But Ridd is not giving up, is he? He's coming back at them, and Adam Wright's trying to recover in the middle of all. They come into the first chicane. 3.5 minutes left on the clock.
Hello, Chris Alcock. 1:02.947.
Hello.
That's some good pace. Fastest lap so far from any of the heavyweights today is a 1:02.0 from you-know-who, Joe.
0. Richard Allen starting to stretch his legs a bit at the front of this one. As Adam Wright, big lap for Adam Wright, has got past Pettit and Lindley and Coombs all in one lap there. What a lap from Adam Wright there. He's really trying to get back onto terms, but I don't think there's going to be, well, there isn't, I don't think enough time for him to get onto terms with these front two. Chris Alcock at the moment, you get the feeling, his pace is good, but Allen is really throwing down the gauntlet here. It's going to be difficult for him to keep with him, as they're going to see the last lap board this time around.
This performance from Richard Allen is making things very, very close in the C2 points. And no Jonathan Elliott here today, by the way. I know he's watching at home. Hope you're doing well, Jonathan. Hope we see you there for Bayford Meadows. Be part of this fantastic scrap at the end of the season. Oh dear, someone has gone into what I call the Jimmer spot, down on the exit of the Parabolica. Maybe one of the C3s.
I'd prescribe a picking up the bumper one again there, to be honest with you.
But Richard Allen, well, has already had a second and a first place today. A very strong morning for former super heavyweight champion here in C2. Continuing the form from yesterday, going down the back straight, Howard. This has been a fantastic race from Richard Allen.
Yep, brilliant stuff. He's having a quick look down at the engine. Oh, that's Adam
Wright.
Wright. Off there for Adam Wright. Big moment there, and he looks, well, understandably frustrated. Richard Allen is going to cross the line to take the win. Chris Alcock in second.
I think that's in the entry to the horseshoe.
Yes, it is. It is. I can reference it from. JV is going over to him there.
He looks okay.
It
That's the
does
most
look
important
okay,
thing,
but it
just
does look like it was a
frustrated.
bit of a moment. I think it. I don't know yet who the driver was off out of the Parabolica either.
Was it Samuel Bensley?
No, I don't believe it was. I think it might have been Martin Robinson, but we'll look to confirm. Richard Allen takes the win. Chris Alcock in second. Josh Pettit in third. Steve Lindley secured some good points in fourth. Craig Brown in fifth. And it was Anthony Ridd, Kevin Coombs, Lee Henderson, Jason Bear, and Sam Bensley rounding out the top 10. And with it, Bensley was your highest placed Class 3. Lee Henderson, your highest placed super heavyweight. But yeah, it's quite an issue recovering this kart. I can hear that the engines have been requested to start for heat number 9. For the lightweights heat number 9.
Yeah,
there we go. But they are just recovering a few karts before they let them out for this one.
Mandapira.
Nevertheless, that is coming up
Mandapira who's off.
next for you here at Lydd.
after that slightly chaotic end to the final heavyweights heats. Let's get going with the lightweights and their third and final rotation. Starting with Heat 9, Alistair Irving on pole. Steph Theodoru is not here today, so he won't be taking that P2. Reece Pope and Jed Toole on row 2. Jack O'Neill and Rogerio Mendez are on the third row of the grid. Ned Douglas and Thomas Barrett, row 4. Sam Slater's DNS here alongside David Longman on row 5. Jagjit Singh and Tim Crowther are on the 6th row of the grid. And then Grachan Kalvinsky and Rizwan Mangat on row 7. George Lawler, who's been very impressive so far today, on the 8th row of the grid. And I think that will end up being a 13-kart field.
Housekeeping. It was Matthew Mandapira who was off to drivers left out of the Parabolica at the end of that last race. And obviously Adam Wright, off in... Didn't see any penalties given at the end for anyone making contact. I mean, if you'd have lost it big time through an unforced error over the crest, that could cause that kind of incident. We have spoken about how sketchy it can feel over there compared to when it's in the dry. We're ready, though, with heat number 9 of the lightweights. Here we go. Alistair Irving leads them away into the first chicane. I think we've got some slow starters at the back of that one. Yeah, we do indeed. Alistair Irving, though, has held the lead. Jack O'Neill there. The other driver trying to go for a clean sweep here at Lydd today in their category. We've seen Joe Holmes do it in the heavyweights. Can Jack O'Neill do it here in the lights? Significant Class 2 battle towards the front, of course, with this one. Alistair Irving and Reece Pope both near the front. It looks to me like Steph Theodoru... Yeah, he's a non-starter. He's not here. Big start from Jack O'Neill up into second place already. And what he might end up doing, Andrew, is feeding Alistair into a battle with... Yeah, I'm sure he will. He's a wise lad. As down the inside goes Jack O'Neill. Now, if he can just hook onto the rear bumper of the 99, put a good lap in here, break away from the 42 behind, Alistair's going to be in a good position. But Jack O'Neill takes the lead here at the start of the third and final rotation for lightweights. If he could wrap up a victory in this race, that would put a huge amount of pressure, Howard, on the rest of the competition going for this title. He will, and as you can possibly tell from the mistiness to the shot again, it started raining again. Yep. Just to confirm that. So 104 might be as good as it gets in this one. Oh, spinner towards the back of the field. It may have been Kalvinsky in the 161. We'll confirm that in a short few moments' time. Yeah, so just want to... Kalvinsky as well was quite a way off the back of the field at the start of the race, as was Tim Crowther. So they're a little way off the back of this 12 karts it is that we've got circulating there. Fairly small field. Here's Reece Pope in the 42, trying to get onto terms with Alistair Irving ahead of him, if at all possible. Ned Douglas not too far behind either. In fact, good little battle beginning to develop between Ned Douglas, Rogerio Mendez, and George Lawler, who continues to impress me today. Absolutely. Highest placed of the Class 3s at the moment. David Longman trying to make up positions as well from what I believe was his lowest grid slot of the day, I think, as the rain continues to get even more intense once again. So, you know, it's you might if you're at the circuit, you might want to think about an umbrella, maybe a raincoat. I can see why it struck you so far today, but just a warning, it has started raining. Yeah, and you can see the rain on the camera there, the sheer heaviness of the precipitation coming out of the sky. And we're getting, once again, I'd be getting concerned if I was in one of those carts about aquaplaning on the back straight again. We have seen a little bit of it so far this weekend. And as you know, I said that I don't think the pace was going to get any better than a 104, which is exactly why Jack O'Neill is. Here we go then into the final corner. This is David Longman trying to get by on Rogerio Mendez, and he's made that one stick. And George Lawler has got by as well. So it's Lawler in 5th, Longman in 6th, and Mendez down in 7th now, as conditions continue to worsen. 3.5 minutes to go. I see a lot of standing water on the pit straight outside. I mean, now it is raining sideways. It is raining sideways. And right into the face of the drivers as they come down the back straight as well, just to grab their attention. But everybody out there is doing a great job here, keeping their karts on the island. There's the 101 of Rogerio Mendez, Jagjit Singh, who we've not talked about enough this season, I think. I was looking through the points
last night. And Jagjit Singh, a C3, has gone a bit under the radar. He's had a really good season. He's having a strong run here in 8th place.
I've got to say, but I wouldn't usually tell this kind of anecdote, but I did find it highly amusing. Someone summed it up very well. Using the hand dryer in the gents, so just had their hands under it, and then they just stopped and went, "Oh, it makes no difference," and just went out, and just went out again. I think that summed it up fairly well. Everyone knows what the deal is here today. You're just gonna get rather wet.
You are indeed.
Ned
here comes
Douglas.
George Lawler.
Yeah.
Through past Ned Douglas, takes 4th place.
Yep. Great move.
Thomas Barrett's got past Grachan Kalvinsky, by the way. It was Tim Crowther who had the spin earlier, so apologies, it wasn't Kalvinsky. Douglas tries to fight back past Lawler, and he's going to do a good job here. They're going to be side by side. Our producer, Darren Hassan from Alpha Live, has just walked back into the streaming room here. He's just laughing. He's just, he can't believe what he's seen out there.
He'd cry if he didn't laugh, so, you know. And yeah, Ned Douglas pushing a good bow wave there to take the fight back. I want to say that's the highest we've seen a Class 3 driver running all day.
Samuel Assery was
that's a good point.
Earlier in the day.
Very good point.
What's even stranger is I'm looking out now and it seems to be brightening. Is the sun coming out?
Yeah, it is. It is.
With this weather.
Irving and Pope, though, getting ever closer together here in the battle over 2nd place. There they are, pushing the bow wave over the rise. Big scoop of water there for Irving. And in the background,
water's being kicked up by the front bumper, and that's when it gets a little bit scary for you as a driver. But Alistair Irving's doing a fantastic job here to keep Reece Pope behind. We're on the last lap, though.
Yep. 9.7 seconds the gap to Jack O'Neill out front. He's already halfway around the lap, to be perfectly honest with you.
He's on for it. And he's also going to be moving himself into a position where if he can win the final from pole position, he's going to be wrapping up this sprints title for the lightweights. Still plenty to play for, though, for the awards to be awarded at the end of this season. Top 5 gets major trophies in C1. And as you say, C2's battle for their top 3 is still open. Here is Jack O'Neill. Quick wipe of the visor has been brilliant today. Mistakes, and Jack O'Neill makes it a clean sweep in the heats. Has done a good amount of the job that he needed to do here today. Takes heat number 9. Alistair Irving is going to score strong points. Takes 2nd place. Should be very happy with that. Ahead of a C2 rival in Reece Pope. Ned Douglas is going to be demoted to 5th because there's George Lawler. Had a bit of a transponder error there. But George Lawler wins C3, 4th overall. Ned Douglas, David Longman, Rogerio Mendes, Rizwan Mangat, Jagjit Singh and Thomas Barrett is your top 10. Tim Crowther is going to be there in 11th ahead of Grachan Kalvinsky.
It's strangely brighter, but also raining. Heat 10 of lightweights is up next. Here's
Quote of the day has just happened. Go on.
It's just producers like, it's wet out there. It is that. It is that. Do you know what? It's getting lighter though. Anyway, Greg Smith's on pole. Andrew Rabbage is alongside. Ramanas Sakauskas and Mike Coppin in your 2nd row. Oscar Lancaster and Dante Dillon make up your 3rd row. It will be James Wattis and Stephen Westwood on row 4. Dan Seeger and Rob Langthorpe to round out your top 10. Justin Draper and Aaron Stillwell are row number 6. James Dunnett and Ross O'Brien are your 7th row with Amy Breacher and Toby Smith rounding out the 16-kart grid. I don't know where the sunlight is coming from out of my window, for there is no break in the cloud apparent.
Ahead of you. I think it's from
but
behind.
you can see it on the camera now. There's sort of like a... There's an aura appearing around the circuit of brightness.
They did do this a little bit yesterday as well, so we'll keep abreast of the situation with the weather. Let's see Greg Smith go from pole position here. Last year's C3 champion, now in C2. Good chance for him to get some points. Into turn 1, they get blindy.
Glint, no tinted... well, very few people have tinted visors, so that's something to bear in mind. Greg Smith with a good start here, though, in the lead. Mike Coppin up to 2nd place early doors here as they head down towards the parabolic. And in fact, is Coppin going to be in a position? Yes, Coppin's through. I think at the bottom of the circuit, I think Mike Coppin is already up into the lead of this one as they head back up the hill and maybe have to start squinting as if there is some sunlight glinting off the surface of the track and they've got no tint to the visor. That could be quite hazardous, and it's all kicking off there into the horseshoe. Greg Smith flicked out slightly at the rear there, and I think he's lost several positions in that exchange.
I think Ramanas Sakauskas just gained 3 positions.
I think he did, yeah.
On the entry to the horseshoe. I don't know if we can get that again, Adam. That was a belter of a move up the inside there on lap 1.
And that is that's Dante Dillon as well, making early progress as well. Mike Coppin leads, then Sakauskas in second. Wattis up to third. Another cracking start from James Wattis here today. I should just say, by the way, the turning point, we were talking about how you have to start turning in for the first chicane the instant you've gone past start-finish. I noticed it at the end of the last lap. I don't quite know how, but a very big puddle has developed beyond that turning point. So if you fail to get that turn in, or you're a little slow off the mark getting the turn in, you literally are kicking up huge amounts of water. It's actually going over the pit wall. But Mike Coppin it is who leads. Sakauskas staying with him here, though, Andrew. This is a great start from Ramanas. And then there is James Wattis and Greg Smith, Dante Dillon. Dan Seeger has got past Andrew Rabbage, it looks to me, for 6th place. And Rob Langthorpe as well. They come up the hill. In fact, there is Langthorpe on the tail now of Rabbage. So Seeger has gone through. Stephen Westwood in the 81 staying with Rob Langthorpe as well. As they turn into the final corner. And there goes Langthorpe.
Yeah, Rabbage a touch wide. Had to get out of the throttle to make sure he didn't go into the bark. This form from Coppin today, very big in the battle for 3rd place in the lightweight standings. He really is putting himself in there as a force to be reckoned with, and should have a good grid position for the final if he can close out this last heat. Ramanas Sakauskas still keeping him honest though, 1.1 behind.
Costly penalty for James Wattis finishes. So, good start marred by a penalty. And Dante Dillon, that was actually last lap, but Dillon passed Greg Smith.
How is your reference puddle looking? Has it become a lake now? Has it stopped raining?
Tranquil.
Tranquil. Oh, I
I
like it.
use the word tranquil.
It's like the moon out there, the sea of tranquility. 4.5 minutes to go. Dante Dillon drifting around the final corner there. 4th place for him at the moment. Well, that'll be 3rd now with James Wattis' penalty.
Check out Wattis' pace though, 102.7.
Yeah.
He's going to try and negate that penalty as much as he can now.
Now we did see yesterday in the endurance, the second hour in particular, lap times did start to come down. So you can already see it's not a dry line; it's just a line without standing water.
Drier line, less wet line.
Andrew Rabbage has got a track limit warning. The red and yellow painted helmet.
Justin Draper driving well to the head of the Class 3 runners again. Not the first time he's been in that position, so having a strong day here. And yet, do you know what? This is actually the first time today that we've seen the conditions that we did see yesterday. As there's a new fastest lap, 101.1 from Mike Coppin. That is a sign of how the conditions are improving, and it goes with the point I was just about to make. This is the first time today that I've seen the conditions that we saw when things really actually started to improve in earnest yesterday.
Yeah, in that second hour of the endurance race, 2.5 minutes to go. And this is a skill for drivers out there, because if you're a driver who can identify that, oh yeah, the track is changing, I can be a bit braver into the corners, I can take a bit more speed through the apex or on a wet line of a corner, you can gain a lot of time on others out there. Dante Dillon, I don't think we've mentioned, has got past James Wattis on circuit and confirmed that is the fastest lap time of anybody today here at Lydd from Mike Coppin. That's 61.179. Down the back straight goes this battle for 3rd place. What's the pace like between 2nd and 3rd? Has Dante Dillon got a chance here of closing in on Ramanas Sakauskas? Not at the moment. He's going to need to
find a bit more.
Yeah, Sakauskas was pulling out the gap there. Stephen Westwood has got past Andrew Rabbage for 7th place. 8th place. Leading in C3 at the moment, once again, is Justin Draper, having A positive day. Track limit warning for Dan Seeger. He's currently in 7th place. Rob Langthorpe has got past him. Coppin is back into the 102s. I think he's just taking this nice and calm. He knows he's got this race under control. Doesn't want to throw it away. And our sources are saying no precipitation for the next 2 hours.
Although if you are resident in the Lydd area, I have also just read tonight's forecast is a couple of thunderstorms.
Oh, lovely. Just what you want for trick-or-treating. Right, 60 seconds to go.
Oh, it's quite Halloween-y, though. That sort of works.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, on to the last lap has gone Mike Coppin, and as Andrew was trying to say, Greg Smith here with Rob Langthorpe for close attention. Dan Seeger as well with them as well. Good little battle here for 5th, 6th and 7th. But, yeah, it's consistent pace from Coppin as well. Another 61-second lap last time around. Into the second bus stop goes the Smith-Langthorpe-Seeger battle.
You can see there's still the amounts of water if you get off the line that's started to be cleared. And it obviously makes overtaking very tricky because you get off that line, water out there, and obviously the grip's lower as well. But here comes Mike Coppin. He's having an absolutely sterling day here at Lydd. From the very first lap of his first heat, he's been on it, and that's another win. Heat 10 goes the way of Mike Coppin. Ramanas Sakauskas is going to take 2nd place. Dante Dillon, a strong run there in 3rd, showing what he can do. Who's it going to be on the line for 4th? It's going to be Rob Langthorpe, who takes 4th, ahead of James Wattis and Greg Smith. Dan Seeger 7th, Stephen Westwood 8th, 11th, Aaron Stillwell 12th, and it's going to be 13th for Ross O'Brien and Amy Breacher, completing the 14 runners there for heat number 10. We're going to take a short break here on the commentary from Double Dash Motorsport Media. Next up, lightweight sprint heat number 11. Here we go then, with heat number 11, the penultimate heat for the lightweights. Bryn Alban has pole position, Tony Philbin alongside on the front row. Ed Bars and Jason Bradbury form up row 2. Christopher Powell and Cameron Williams are on the 3rd row of the grid. Stephen Hicks and Dan Healy start on row 4. Angus Waddle has had good pace today, starts this one from row 5 alongside Luke Dunnett. Dean Everest and Samuel Essery are on the 6th row of the grid. Andy Berry and Athara Desai are on the 7th row of the grid. James Browning on the 8th row of the grid. 15 cars in the field. Big race this in C3. I think Samuel Essery may be in an opportunity to win the title in this race if he can get a good result. Ed Bars, of course, he needs to win this race to try and get on top of Jack O'Neill's charge today. Away we go for 7 minutes. Bryn Alban will lead into turn 1. Ed Barr's already looking for P2 on the inside there from the pole side of the grid. Are they all clean? No. Someone's spun off towards the back of the field.
I think it's Atava Desai.
So Atava Desai in trouble there. While starting in 14th, and into the lead goes the reigning champion, Ed Bars.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ed Bars does need this one. Andrew was just talking about Mike Coppin's form. But Bars really needs to be on it here. Somebody needs to deny.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to deny Jack O'Neill the win today. And it's going to be interesting to see, actually, if they do sort of group together in that regard come the final. So who's that with a tremendous drive? Was that Healy coming onto the back straight? Seemed to have tremendous drive there. Steve Hicks as well, battling away. I think that was with Jason Bradbury. As they come around to finish this first lap of the race, though, it is Ed Bars who leads. Bryn Alban in 2nd, Tony Philbin in 3rd. Healy and Powell round out your top 5. And Cameron Williams has had some kind of drama out there as well, though he is back circulating. So through the second bus stop goes this Heat 11 field. Bryn Alban there with good pace. I think Dan Healy has got by on Philbin. Indeed, yeah, there is. In fact, several people got back by on Tony Philbin. I think he's been caught by the main body of Class 1 runners. You can see the 87 there with Jason Bradbury now past him.
Steve Hicks trying to find a way through as well. Good start for Dean Everest. You can see him up there in the number 20, the yellow suit, as Hicks goes down the inside. Oh, very from Dean Everest, gets down the inside, keeps it under control. Bit of counter steering as the number 56 of Christopher Powell has a problem off the last corner. Will lose positions there. So end of lap number 2. It is Bars ahead of Albon. Healy, Bradbury, Hicks, Everest, top C3 is up to 6th. Keep your comments coming in on the YouTube stream. We're keeping an eye on them. Chris Simpson is singing a merry song in the chat about raindrops keep falling on his lens. So the cameramen still, as ever, doing a fantastic job out there for us. Could not do our jobs in the commentary box without them. There's Jason Bradbury ahead of Steve Hicks. Around the final part of the horseshoe they go. Ed Bars in control of this race now. And we'll just look to pilot it through the remaining time. As I say, needs to be able to get in front of... Oh no, round goes Dean Everest, and that's going to be in the bark. And well avoided there.
That's Waddle.
Waddle, yeah, Angus Waddle in. They'll both have to push their carts out of there, and that will take quite a while, particularly for Waddle. Let's have another look at that again. I think there was a bit of encouragement there on Everest. That was not
in that very same.
I think somebody else has joined them in there towards the back. Was there a third cart involved?
Double check the lap time of Cameron Williams when he next comes around.
Yeah, he's not.
Was it Dean Everest had a very slow lap time out there?
Dean Everest was the initial spinner. Waddle joined him. I think Cameron Williams did join the two of them from the back end of the field.
And Waddle's only just got going. Going to cross the line now.
3 minutes to go then. Bradbury having a good run here. There breaks earlier this time. And a new fastest lap of the day. Daniel Healy, 60.851. He's there in second place. And this might not be over yet. 2.5 minutes to go. The gap is 2.6 seconds. And last time around, Healy took 3/4 of a second out of Bars' lead. So Ed Bars needs to increase the pace here to stave off a late attack from Dan Healy.
Andy Berry past Tony Philbin on the last time around as well. Good battles going on throughout the field. But yeah, you get the feeling we are rapidly heading towards a sub 60-second lap, which I believe was that. I think that was the pole time in the endurance yesterday. I want to say was a 59.9.
Yes, it was.
So we're just at that crossover point to maybe get the best conditions we've had. Well, not all weekend, because the SB60 had a good one yesterday. But Steve Hicks down the inside of Jason Bradbury. Bradbury gets good drive on the outside, but I think Hicks is going to be able to hold on to that one quite nicely. And Bradbury's going to be under pressure, actually, from Essery straight away into the first chicane. And I can see out the window that Essery has got by on Jason Bradbury. There it is. So it's now Hicks, Essery, and Bradbury in 4th, 5th, and 6th, respectively.
And it would move Essery closer to wrapping up C3 today.
Yeah, nothing forthcoming. We did wonder if maybe there was some contact involved in that issue with Dean Everest, but there's nothing come in for that. So Essery indeed in the pound seat at the moment. 60 seconds left on the clock then. Ed Bars leads. What is the gap as they come round to start what I would imagine will be, it should be the last lap board this time around, I would imagine. And it is indeed the final lap board being shown. The gap has gone down another 8 tenths. Dan Healy with another lap short. It is going to be 1 lap short for Healy, isn't it? He's got the gap down to 1.6 seconds. He's got the fastest lap of the race and of the day down to a 60.685 basically. But Ed Bars should have enough in hand just to hang on here, as Essery and Hicks, I think, are doing battle. Heading down towards the second chicane. And there we go. I think that's Essery with another position there. Up past Hicks, who collects a nice amount of puddle water on the exit of that second chicane. But I can see the lead battle is coming out onto the back straight now. It has closed up quite a bit. Here it is. I think Healy's just too far back to try anything. One more lap, and this one could have been a little bit tastier. It is going to be Ed Bars, who comes around the final corner and takes the win in heat number 11. Dan Healy will finish in second. And then it's going to be a gap of some 8.5 seconds before a very good result.
Very good.
Very good. Very impressive with this is the number 16 of Bryn Olban. Great result there. Brilliant drive. Highest placed Class 2 runner by some measure there for Bryn Olban. And then the highest placed Class 3. And
we'll do the maths. I think that may be enough.
Might be enough.
That may be enough for Samuel Essery to be crowned C3 class winner for this year's 2021 Lightweight Sprint Championship. A fantastic season for Samuel Essery.
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. Getting by Steve Hicks, getting by Jason Bradbury, Christopher Powell as well in 7th. Luke Dunnett and James Browning rounding out your top 10. But no, brilliant stuff. Brilliant drive there from Essery. And yeah, we've got to do a bit of maths around that one, but he's definitely looking pretty good for that title. Coming up next is the last of our heats. It is going to be heat number 12 in the lightweights.
Final heats for the lightweights. Heat number 12, here's your grid. Peter Knight starts on pole position. Garrett Berry alongside on the front row. Ashley White and Callum Brule go from row 2. Rihanna Percox and Josh Adams row 3. All that top 6 have had good days so far. Tom Dix and Matthew Cockram are on row 4. Keith Segal and Daz Teal on row 5. Russell Cooper and Sam Morris on the 6th row of the grid. Of the 14 karts due to start this 12th and final heat here at Lydd today for Club 100 Lightweight Sprint Championship round number 10.
I agree with you. I think that's a tasty grid for the last heat race of the day. I think that's quite looking quite tidy. As you say, the top 6. And it's not like Tom Dix's pace has been off either, actually. So this could be an interesting one. Final opportunity for these drivers to maximise their points, get the optimal position on the finals grids. On your left is Peter Knight. On your right is Garrett Berry. And away we go for heat number 12.
Ashley White trying to force.
Everyone's through cleanly through the first chicane. And it's still Peter Knight, though, in the leads. They head towards chicane number 2. Garrett Berry with a good start from the anti-pole side there. Ashley White and
yeah, Rihanna's already had a win so far today.
I think Tom Dix might have got by on Callum Brule as well. But Peter Knight trying to break away in the early phase here as they come back up the hill. I mean, this is now going to be a skill in itself. If the circuit starts to dry, finding that renewed grip in different places, discovering those new lines, that's going to be the key skill now for the next few hours of running. If that's what we've read is correct, that we're not seeing some rain for a little while now. Garrett Berry, though, not letting Peter Knight get away here as they come around to finish the first lap. It was quite a deep line from Garrett Berry, but it hasn't done him any harm as they come around to finish lap number 1. It is Peter Knight from Garrett Berry, Rihanna Percox in 3rd.
Tom Dix and Josh Adams up positions at the end of that first lap. Ashley White down 4, Callum Brule down.
And I can see him actually, he's going down the back straight now, so an issue for Sam Morris.
So initial lap times, often we've been seeing the 4:65, that was a 63.3 from Peter Knight. Working to, oh dear, as there goes the cone, Garrett Berry. Again, it's so easy to do, you get a little bit too deep over the rise. You're trying to open up the right-hander for going into the horseshoe. You get a little bit too deep, the curb grabs you, the cone grabs you, and that will, there we go, cone penalty for Garrett Berry.
It's a double whammy because you lose a handful of time at the same time. So gutting that for Berry, but he's still second on the road at the moment as Tom Dix has got by Rihanna Percox on that last lap, and Daz Teal has got past Ashley White as well. Callum Brule's picked up a penalty as well for bump and pass. So that's going to be a costly one for Brule.
Full Warwick Bandit. That wasn't in the plan on the dinner table last night. 4.5 minutes to go then.
He didn't say it wasn't.
Let's leave that one there. Peter Knight still leads this one. Garrett Berry. Is Garrett Berry closing in terms of pace on the road? Yeah, I think he is. I think he is closing in here. As down the inside, great move from Josh Adams there. And now the sun's out, you can sort of see with the wetsuits just how wet it is, what the drivers are undergoing physically out there today with the conditions.
It's a good point to note that you had quite the delta in racing weight yesterday.
Yes, I did.
Having driven in these conditions.
Albeit for an hour, 2.5 kilos of moisture is what I had on my person at the end of the race.
We should say,
I shouldn't have bothered putting lead on the car.
my commentary colleague's rain suit does have a hole in it.
It does have a hole.
Which doesn't help. But yeah, it is quite the amount of water that everyone's kit can retain as you're going around. Again, I think glare might be a bit of a problem for some of the drivers who haven't got the tinted visor on at the moment. As they come back up the hill here, I had exactly this actually at the end of the endurance. As Garrett Berry here is having a look at Peter Knight. He can't win it outright, but obviously every position gained is a help. Tom Dix has caught onto the back of these two as well. As Garrett Berry is having a look to the outside here into the final corner. Are we going to see? No one's actually gone sub 61 yet in this race. And as I say that, Josh Adams sets a 60.8 fastest lap of the race. Peter Knight, Garrett Berry. Drivers, we should say, there's a penalty for Keith Segal for restart on the grass.
That's going to be a significant one for Keith there. 2.5 minutes to go. Reason for that is a kart and equipment protection rule, similar to, we don't want chassis being hit over curbs and cones, etc., etc. We don't want clutches being taking the punishment of a restart and lots of delta spinning on the grass. There was a good scrap between Percox and Teal. It was over 5th place. 2 minutes to go. Still your leaders out front, Peter Knight and Garrett Berry. And Berry likes that deep line. It allows him to cut back and get some more